First, the show brought to you by playalberta.ca. It is Thursday. That means Lotto Max. No, wait. $1,000 a day is what that means. But you can get your Lotto Max for tomorrow as well. Also, head over to playalberta.ca. Use promo code SUMMER. You'll get a $50 casino play when you make a deposit of minimum $5. Playalberta.ca here in the EUL studios. 1-833-401-1440. That is the text line if you want to get in on the conversation. Tons to get to on the show today. We've got a very busy show. We'll kick things off. We're going to head out to Winnipeg. Did you see Winnipeg made a trade today? Now, maybe their hand was forced, but Rutger McGrory heading to Pittsburgh. Braden Yeager will join the Winnipeg Jets. So we're going to talk to Scott Billick of the Winnipeg Sun about that. Also, the offseason coaching change, a little bit underwhelming all in all. We'll see what Scott thinks. Also, we'll talk some Bombers as they are 4-6 on the season so far. Also, Lorianne Munns are going to join us via the phone today. Not coming in studio, but she will be joining us at 2:40. Of course, she's got the book launch coming up. So we'll get more info on that and try to get inside the mindset of a professional athlete. At 3 o'clock, Danny Machocha, Montreal Alouettes general manager. The Alouettes 9-1, and they're getting Cody Fajardo back on the field. Pretty good things for the Owls, obviously defending Grey Cup champions. And we're going to get his thoughts on a variety of topics. Of course, spent some time here in Edmonton, so we'll get see what he thinks about the Oilers getting a new owner. Sorry, Elks. Not the Oilers, the Elks getting a new owner and how much that's going to impact the team and the league. Unfortunate news yesterday as a longtime head coach was also with the team as an offensive consultant, Ken Miller, passing away. So we'll talk to him about the legacy of Ken Miller in the CFL. We will also speed things up in the Cantork Racing Report with Colin Livingston of Cantork. We're going to change it up a little bit here as we'll bring Wanye in for this one. Colin said, can we open up the text lines and get questions from the listeners? So if you're out there and you've got some questions, some hot takes when it comes to NASCAR, Formula One, Indy, maybe the local racing scene, text those in 1-833-401-1440 and we'll ask Colin. He said, hey, we don't need to prep for this. We're going to put feet to the fire and see what happens. And we'll get the response in Wanya. We're going to include you on this one because that was a special request of Colin.
Now, this is outrageous. What on earth do I know about car racing?
You raced over here. You made it on time.
Well, that's true.
You made a pit stop.
Car racing is a weird one because I know at the highest levels, the reaction times these people have is preposterous. But at the same time, we all drive cars all day long. You know what I mean? Like, I don't throw javelins all day long, Connor. If I did, then I saw a pro javelin player or thrower, I'd be like, just like me. But a car racer, I'm like, I drove to this race.
But you run
like
sometimes.
I'm in the game.
You walk, but you'd still go watch like Olympic events like walking, speed walking.
No.
Running.
Never.
Well, people do it.
Not me.
People do. So, yeah. I mean, it's funny because
walking is not an Olympic sport, my friend.
Power walking.
Well, walking.
Dunphy.
What?
Canadian legend. Friend of the show once. I don't know if he's a friend. He came on the show after he won gold, I believe.
In power walking?
Speed walking, power walking. Yeah.
That's got to be the same level of tiring as running. Like, let's get real. They're not strolling there. They're moving.
I know everybody watches that and is like, that's easy.
It is not.
It's not easy. You do that for an extended period of time, you're getting a workout. Those guys are all very thin.
What is the easiest event at the Olympics in terms of physical demands on you?
Shooting a gun. Shooting a bow and arrow.
But they're still freakishly talented.
Oh, they're very talented.
What would be the easiest thing to qualify for if you looked at it just
shooting a gun?
Objectively, yeah?
Shooting a gun? So. No, I'm not trying to diminish what they do.
No, but anyone theoretically can.
But I could walk 30 steps. There's a gun range right by us. I could go shoot a gun. It would probably my arm would bounce back. So maybe there's some strength required there. But
is there another radio station in the world that can say we're 30 feet away from an active gun range?
K97, CFCW, the
Touche.
Breeze. But that's it. That's it, I would think.
Outside of our little weirdo crew here in Bubba Gump Shrimp. That's an amazing, and you never hear it.
No. You do if you go down the hall.
Well, if you go into it. But in front here, you would never hear.
You can hear it from the washroom. And it can be a little bit alarming.
You can hear it from the washroom?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go hang out there, you get some looks.
Hang out in the washroom, just wait for
you just hear the
CFCW people? Really?
Yeah. Took me a while to realize what it was, but they do have that.
It wasn't until I heard Theo Von, you know that comedian guy,
Yeah, I do.
making fun of the gun range in the mall that I realized how bizarre it is that there's a gun range here. But it's not like, I don't know, it's very civilized. Like you'd never know.
Beginners welcome.
Yeah.
It's advertised.
And it said there is a sign that says, "Hey, turn around and go shoot a live firearm." I'm like, well,
We'll go one day.
I've been.
Oh, we'll
amazing.
Go again. Yeah.
It's super cool.
Fun times. Also on the show today, Chuck Booth, CBS Sports soccer writer, is going to join us. Spec will be by at 5 o'clock. We are trying to track down an NFL reporter. So we'll go somewhere in the AFC North. Might be Baltimore, might be Cleveland. But we'll get to that later on in the show. Lots to get to still as we proceed. We're going to head out to Winnipeg. What do you think about Rutger McGroarty kind of calling his shot here? I don't want to play in Winnipeg. Get me out of here. Obviously, they get Braden Yeager back. Do you like when players do that sort of thing? Do you respect it? Do you have any, I don't want to say, compassion. Do you understand why they might do that?
I can understand everybody acting in their own self-interest, yes. But in like the context of the game of hockey, Connor, it's like, have you earned the right? In my mind, if you play 1 second in the NHL or any pro league for that matter, you're very good. There are no bad players in the NHL. I hate it when people on social media are like, that guy's terrible. Like, no, there are no terrible players in the NHL, you clown. A 55-year-old person who played one shift in the NHL could run rings around you and your buddies. Right?
Yes.
So there are no bad athletes. So when acting in their own best self-interest, knowing that they have a very limited time they can make money, that they probably need to make last a long time. I understand why they like a guy like Broberg, right? Taking a 4.5 times raise. I get it. Now, this guy in Winnipeg, has he earned it in the G code?
I don't think so.
No.
Like, I can understand Philip Broberg, $4.5 million. Yeah, let's do it. I'll do that, because we had some people saying he and Dylan Holloway ungrateful. They should want to be here. They have a chance to win. I'm with you. I don't necessarily believe that, but when it comes to a young kid who's never played a game before, I don't like that. I don't like when you call your shots that way.
I swear to you, if you asked athletes secretly in a ballot, would you rather be financially secure or great? A lot would take the first column.
Just give me the money?
I think so. Especially if, like you said, it wasn't their dream to grow up to win the cup.
Depending on where you're from, what your priorities are. Yeah. Sorry, we had a funny text come in here.
But we're not going to read it with the rest of the class? I see.
I'll get to it in a second.
Oh, I see how it works.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Just want to stick to this topic, because we've seen it in football before. I'm biased, a Chargers fan. Eli Manning pulled that on the Chargers back in 2004.
Oh, are you a Chargers fan, Connor? I hadn't noticed. It's
heard?
like being in a Chargers merchandise store in here.
Not today, though. I switched it up, put the white hat on. Doesn't get much love.
Interesting play.
Anywho, because I know to talk about them, so I didn't want to look too biased.
Sure.
John Elway did it to the Colts back in the day. Went to the Denver Broncos. Like, you see it happen. Eric Lindros did it to the Nordiques.
But you'd better be of that caliber to pull this type of stunt.
All 3 Hall of Famers to do it eventually. I mean, we knew Lindros when he was drafted. I mean, the hype was there, right?
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't really remember it.
That's probably the biggest, but that, other than Gretzky, that's got to be one of the biggest trades of all time. Peter Forsberg coming back in return.
What was the entire deal there?
Oh, man, it was like 5 or 6 players just for Lindros. And then Colorado, their first year, won the cup with all those people. Like Mike Recchi, I think, was involved.
Eric Lindros trade has its own Wikipedia page, which is kind of cool.
That's gangster.
Yeah, so it was the voided offer from the Rangers was Tony Amonte, Alexei Kovalev, Sergei Nemchinov, James Patrick, and either Mike Richter or John Van Beesbrook, who both had great helmets.
That's like a starting 5.
Undisclosed multiple first-round picks and $20 million.
To Quebec.
That was voided.
Why?
I'd have to read through it a little bit quicker here. But then the Rangers were found innocent and of any wrongdoing. The accepted offer was Steve Duchesne, Peter Forsberg, Ron Hextall, Kerry Huffman, Mike Ricci, Chris Simon, Phillies first round pick in 93, 94, and $15 million.
The Rangers offer was better.
Yeah, I think
better.
so.
What?
Undisclosed multiple first draft picks.
How do you
First-round draft picks.
undisclose? First of all, it's just, I'm not going to tell you.
It's
Can't
gonna
do
come.
secret trades.
In the next 3 years, we're going to see how many picks go to Quebec. That's not too shabby for one man.
And the Wikipedia page doesn't explain why that trade got shut down.
It's a big page.
Dang.
If you can like talk for 2 minutes,
I can talk all sorts of stuff. I remember when that trade happened thinking like, I can't believe that the Nordiques effectively traded their entire team to get Eric Lindros. But I had that upper deck card from Junior. He was part of Team Canada. So he wasn't quite in the NHL yet, but he had the Team Canada logo. And I stared at that thing for hours and stared at his like bio on the back. And I was like, I don't know, man. This guy's pretty big. Then when the trade went through, I thought at the time, well, it's probably going to be worth it. You could argue in the long run that it was worth it for both teams. The Flyers got Lindros for a long ass time. So and Quebec Colorado won the cup immediately.
And it kind of worked out well for the Rangers having it voided because they did win the cup. And with that, the players that would have been gone, Kovalev would have been gone, Nemchinov would have been gone, and Richter. So would you have won the cup without those three? Richter would make it quite complicated, I think.
What a wild time in the NHL where like trades that big are occurring and getting blocked and stuff like that. Now you get like 2 offer sheets in 10 years. You're like, whoa. Was that Neil Smith, the guy in the Rangers, I think, that was pulling all those strings in those days? Neil Smith was no joke. That guy was putting together deals.
The Wikipedia page has, at the end of the 2000-2001 season, the Avalanche from this had 2 Stanley Cups. And then I don't know, maybe these are the draft picks that they helped acquire, but it has Bork, Blake, Dingman, friend of the station, Chris Dingman, Forsberg, Sean Podine, Patrick Waugh, Tanguay, all listed under their names. The Flyers ended up with 0 Stanley Cups, 1 appearance, and Lindros sat out that season, and the Rangers got 1 cup.
Lindros sat out, and the Flyers made the finals that year?
No, it was a 1997 appearance, but he sat out in 2000-2001.
Oh, I see. Remember the Legion of Doom?
Yeah.
Oh, those guys were no joke.
Was it Recchi?
Renberg?
Was it Renberg? Yeah. That's
and Lindros? They were so big. I remember them coming to play the Oilers. I can't remember who the Oilers were that year, but I went to the game. And I remember just being like, oh, man, we're in over our heads. These guys are enormous. And they have merchandise, and they have a name for their line. And they run roughshod off over at John LeClair in those days too. Like,
yeah. Oh, LeClair. Yeah, that's what it was. It was LeClair, Renberg, and Lindros. John LeClair was a beast too.
Crazy, man. Crazy. What a team that was. Did Eric Lindros
never won?
Do you think, other than the fact he didn't win the cup, obviously, did he live up to the hype of his promise when all was said and done? I think so.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
850 career points 865 in 760 games. So well over a point per game player. It was the concussions though, right? That's what got him. If he could have stayed healthy, he played 82 games. How many times in his career, if you had to guess?
Well, what was that? Who was that guy who hit him on the Devils? I'm trying to think of Scott Stevens. That's the problem. It wasn't Eric Lindros was the problem. Scott Stevens was the problem.
81 games was the most he ever played. He had 72, 71, 73, but yeah, kind of just a lot of injuries throughout the career. He did eventually go to the Rangers, funny enough. Wrapped up with Dallas in 06-07 with 5 goals.
These kids today, Connor, they don't know how hard we had it growing up. You had to watch SportsCenter, and you would see a highlight of a game, and then you could never see it again. The best you could do was read the newspaper in the morning. You didn't have social media. There was no YouTube to watch highlights over and over and over. You had to watch the SportsCenter, and I would love to have watched more Eric Lindros highlights back in the day, but it was never available to us.
Well, you'd get it on loop. You might have been in school, wouldn't you? Didn't Sportsnet had it in the morning when they had the neon green in there?
Oh, sure.
Set on but 30-minute increments.
You couldn't go to Twitter, I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just watch highlights till your eyes bleed, or go to YouTube and watch on a loop like I do.
The exact same thing.
I watched the Captain skate last year. Remember when they showed that on YouTube?
No.
What?
I didn't watch that.
What?
I think I was unemployed.
Come on.
Just taking it easy.
No, you would have just been starting.
Oh, I was so busy.
Yeah.
Who has time?
Well, I did. And I watched the captain skate on a loop for probably 4 hours one night while I was doing something else. That's living in 2024. You can just watch streaming practices and stuff like that. Do you think they'd ever televise training camp? Or stream it?
I don't know. We can go watch some practice. You could go watch like rookie camp and
That
stuff.
assumes you live near Edmonton, though.
Yeah.
For every person who lives in Edmonton who'd like to watch, I bet you there's 10 on the internet.
If they made a portion of practice that was open, I bet Oilers YouTube or Oilers Plus would have a lot of people tuning in.
If it was free on YouTube, I can't speak
Yeah.
for Oilers Plus because who knows the numbers. If they consistently streamed training camps, people would watch.
You'd watch.
I would, of course. Kidding me? I'd watch every minute of it and obsess over it.
Maddie C says, I would love to stream training camp all day long.
Yeah.
You're not alone. The testing, would you watch that?
I would watch the testing. I will admit to you, Connor, I would watch everything. I would watch the rookie camp. I would watch the rookie game.
Just on your couch eating chips. Like,
There's
wow,
no detail of the Oilers so small I don't want to know.
terrible VO2 max numbers there. Terrible.
If they put out a 2-hour documentary on Cam McDavid, I would watch it beginning to end.
You love
Hoping to see Connor for a moment. Not to say Cam McDavid's not interesting. He is.
You love the content.
If they made a 3-hour movie on Kim Draisaitl, Leon's sister, I'd watch it.
Did she get married?
She did.
That was her wedding?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, very cool.
I watch it all. I watch Oilers' girlfriends' Instagram accounts like their TV shows. I'm like heavy into it, Connor.
Bob says he's been to development camp. I went once. It was okay. Met the brass, tuned in, tried to like tweet like I was some sort of insider.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's wide open to get out there.
But I think most of us were at work and we're listening to sports radio, right? You guys live in Magic Kingdom. You forget how the rest of us civilians live, Connor. We're doing other stuff. We're listening to sports radio to stay connected to the thing we love, right? Not everybody can go to development camp, but I bet you a lot of people would watch it on their computers or on their phones.
It's a good idea.
I think so.
If anyone from Oilers Brass is listening,
They aren't.
this is how you do it. Don't tell them that. Some text coming in here. Farm team says you had to buy Rock'em Sock'em. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We all had that.
Santa brought it every year.
Stu says, did you not watch Don Cherry's Rock'em Sock'em? My brother would get it for Christmas every year. We'd sit and watch Scott Stevens destroy everyone. We had this conversation a few days ago.
Yeah.
Every Christmas. It was like, that had to be the best-selling VHS.
Yeah, and Grapes
in
was like the
Canada.
greatest Canadian rapper until Drake came along.
Pass the torch. I don't know. There's some good Canadian rappers.
But Grapes rapping Let's Go.
Let's
Remember that?
go.
And then he had like the trench coat on and he
Yeah.
was dancing. Like, that's living.
The beat was great, too.
Oh, man. It was like the production value was quite good.
Scalding Gourd. My sports news as a kid came by Pony Express. He and Low Tide.
I remember when the Journal and the Sun would put out like the fat insert training camp stuff. And you could like see all the prospects and who got drafted and infographics of who would go where. Do you remember that?
No.
What? They did it every year. And they'd be like, this guy just got drafted. Michael Reeson, the Swiss Miss. Remember that guy? The Swiss
Miss.
First round draft pick from Switzerland. Big miss, the Swiss Miss. And I remember just staring at it in the Journal and being like, that guy's enormous. David Viberni. Remember that guy?
No.
Can't miss prospect once upon a time.
I love to sit back and drop some names, but I don't know these guys.
Well, these were deep cut staring at the Journal because you're 12 years old and TV wasn't going to talk about the Oilers probably for 4 or 5 days. So you might as well just stare at the press guide.
Lance says, remember when games were on pay-per-view?
Oh,
That was bad.
Well, bad. I mean, they made money. They needed money badly.
Great if you could afford it.
You could go to a restaurant or something.
Well, I couldn't. I don't think I was of age yet.
A restaurant?
How long? Well, I was young. I couldn't go just, bye, Mom, going to a restaurant. Like,
Is that how you sounded?
yeah.
Amazing.
I don't know. Actually, I could be lying. I don't remember exactly what year that was, but I do remember thinking, for me, as a poor fan, this sucks. Let's go to a friend's house and rent it.
I'm not ashamed to tell you, and the listeners of Sports 1440, I owned a sports bar and one time tried to bootleg a game and got busted. And an inspector showed up And it was very hilarious for all involved because I thought that he showed up like he was a member of the armed forces. I thought he had the authority of the Supreme Court. And I just had to pay a fine.
Was it a big fine?
I don't remember.
Not that big then.
But they always checked thereafter, and so we paid forever more. But they only did that for a couple of years.
Yeah. They got.
It wasn't a very long.
It didn't
thing.
last too long.
No.
That's for sure.
Do you remember when there was only like one game a week on A Channel, the A Channel game of the week?
No.
And they made promotional commercials with like Fred Brathwaite sitting down in a restaurant as an actor trying to order shark on the menu because they were going to beat the Sharks in the game of the week on A Channel.
No. I remember games being on CTV or CFRN at the time, and they had like contests to try to win games, and you'd like call in, and I would try to call in, or it might have been write a letter or something. I never won, but I do remember that back in the day.
Did you ever call in to any of the sports shows when you were a little kid and give your take on stuff?
No.
I did. Yeah, I used to call John Short all the time.
Oh, nice.
All the time.
Well,
he had a kids'
kids
night.
on. Yeah, he would do that.
Bless his heart. And us kids would call in and ask stupid questions and giggle and hang up.
Some people don't do that anymore.
Imagine having a kids' day on this show. What are you, crazy?
Probably more insight than us.
How come we don't take callers here?
We do, but nobody calls.
I've never once heard you say, call the station.
We've opened up the phone lines many times. People don't like to text or to call in anymore. It's all about texting.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Plus, we don't have a delay button anymore, so I can't stop people from swearing.
Well, don't say that on the air. Well, now we can't take calls.
That's why we don't take calls.
I see.
No, it's honestly, I've been in this industry 15 years now, and like the decline in phone calls, it's been steep.
You got to ask for people to call in, though.
We do.
Call it. I've never heard it once.
Well, it's just so casual. Calls, text, 1-833-401-1440. But I don't say that as much. But like Gregor still opens up the phone line sometimes. And
he does?
Yeah. When big things happen. We've actually kept the 220 segment open, like on big news days. People just text. I wouldn't make it up. Now the phone line's lighting up, of course.
Good. Well, this is what happens.
We're going to break, and we have guests, so we're not taking calls right now. When we come back, we're going to head out to Winnipeg. We'll be joined by Scott Billick. Covers the Winnipeg Jets. Of course, they had some moves today, and we'll get to that. We're also going to talk some NFL, some CFL, some racing, some soccer. We got everything. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Honk your horn for Papa John's newest deal. It's one big deal for one big pizza. An extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's original fresh, never frozen dough. Hand stretched thinner to make 8 extra large slices with your favorite mouth-watering toppings. So hold and fold that slice like a New Yorker. Bigger is better when it comes to pizza. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get some extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99 at Papa John's.
Rule number 12, not spending the afternoon tubing on the Pembina. Next, you're going to tell us you don't wear flannel. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they won't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to call Legacy. Call Legacy for comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you. Call Legacy. Call Legacy for comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year. Call Legacy. Call Legacy. You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase-style regular season gameplay and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2012 and 2017. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at Cantork.com.
What's cracking at Cattail Crossing? Every Friday after 4 p.m., it's 9 and Dine Fridays. Includes golf for two with a power cart at Cattail Crossing and a $50 food voucher at Out of Bounds Restaurant. Only $119.99. Tea times can be booked at cattailcrossing.ca.
A sale this big only happens once a year. The Fish and Hole's annual wall-to-wall sale is on now. 20 to 50% off everything in the store. You heard right. 20 to 50% off everything. 4 days only. Stock up on rods, reels, tackle, sonars, trolling motors, apparel, and, well, everything. Sale ends Saturday. Shop early for best selection in store only. Southside and West End locations.
At Toyota, we understand life's full of winning moments, like winning shotgun in an epic game of rock, paper, scissors. Boom. Paper covers rock, Carl. And we design our award-winning vehicles with your needs in mind, giving you a front row seat to all life's victories. Except you, Carl. You're in the back. It's time for everyday wins. It's time to Toyota. Lease a 2024 Tundra 4x4 double cab SR5 from $159 weekly for 60 months at 5.99% with $6,599 down. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer today.
On X. And if you're watching on Instagram or want to, check out Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you here, coming to you live from the Ewell Studios in West Edmonton Mall, where the real power place to shop. Ewell.ca for all your electrical needs. Online 24/7. Ewell.ca is your partner in power. Text line 1-833-401-1440. Well, we did get a phone call. It was a pity phone call.
Oh,
but we'll take it.
Yeah.
Hey, phone lines are always open. If you get on or not, that's a whole different topic.
You got to get past Declan.
You got to get past Declan. You got to do it in a segment where we don't have guests.
Yeah.
We can't be spitballing about old goalie masks or Canadian rappers. It's got to be a good time to make it happen.
It's true. I'm just saying, and I never say that. I hate that saying. It's be good to hear from people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I'm saying.
But now, you know what? I like your text as well.
That's fair. Text in. I mean, it's 2024.
It is.
You could fax us.
You cannot fax us.
You can't fax us.
Email us. Connor at sports1440.ca.
Do people email you?
Sometimes. Rarely. Sometimes just randomly like, hey, I need some fantasy football advice. You can get me away from the office that way. You want to put your email out there?
No, I don't do emails and stuff. You can DM me.
DM them on...
But I don't read them.
On Oilers Nation?
Yeah, well, there's like 12 people that run that account, thankfully.
Just say, hey, Wanye.
Like, hey, what's up?
It'll work.
But I like to hear from people. I think it's great.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love it on the text line. Phone line, hey, like I said, feel free to call. I just don't know if we'll get through to you.
We're not going to answer your call. We talked about it off air. It's not happening.
We're going to go around the NHL right now. Talk some Winnipeg Jets. Winnipeg, obviously, in the news today. An interesting offseason. This segment brought to you by McDonald's. Cool down McDonald's with $1 cones and $2 sundaes topped with either hot fudge or caramel sauce. Get your cones and sundaes today at McDonald's. We bring in Scott Billick of the Winnipeg Suns. Scott, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing good. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on this show today. So I guess we kind of have to start it off with a Rutger McGorty going to the Pittsburgh Penguins to get Braden Yeager back in exchange. For those who don't know, I mean, this kind of storyline has been going on for a little while with McGorty. Can you give us a bit of a timeline with what happened and why this eventually did happen?
Well, yeah, it's great timing for that because we just got off a Zoom call with Jets general manager Kevin Shovel-Day and kind of got a little more insight into what happened, why it led to today and the trades with Pittsburgh. And it started at the Combine. Apparently, Rutger McGorty's agent Pat Brisson came up to Chevy. They had a meeting there, spoke about McGroarty. Just McGroarty's basically, the agent basically told him it just didn't feel right for McGroarty to come to Winnipeg. And that was basically all Kevin Cheveldayoff was able to clarify today. But so the timeline begins at the Combine. And at that point, it's set in motion this long, drawn out. I mean, we heard a lot at the draft about, they could trade him at the draft, and nothing materialized up until today, obviously. But there were some deals on the table at the draft that I think tempted the team, but they decided to wait. And so, 2 months later, just under 2 months later, there's finally a deal in place for Rutger McGroarty. And I think, at the end of the day, you got to give a lot of credit to Kevin Cheveldayoff. He's been backed into a corner several times during his extended tenure as GM with the Jets. He's been here since 2011 when the Jets, came from Atlanta and relocated. And Cheveldayoff has done a good job at mending the problems that have arisen, let's say, to be sort of diplomatic or whatever. But it's to get another first round pick, another 14th overall pick, just 1 year later, to get a center, to get a guy who helped lead his team to the Memorial Cup this past year with Moose Jaw. I think you can't say he lost the trade. I mean, it's unfortunate because McGroarty was viewed as potentially captain material, right? Very strong leadership in terms of at least on ice, off the ice stuff. I mean, that comes into question when the guy asks out, but you can never really, I don't ever really blame a player for wanting to kind of pick his spot. I think anybody would love to be able to kind of pick where they play or what they do in their own lives and that sort of thing, if they had that opportunity. And players that, they can find loopholes and find that. But I think today was probably the best outcome the Jets could have got, because usually when this happens, it's sort of damaged goods, right? And the value is lower because they know that they sort of have to trade the guy. And McGroarty's value is probably the highest as it can be right now, having led his team to the Frozen Four and winning World Junior Gold and captaining that Team USA team to gold this past winter. So, to get what they got for him today, I think it was, you might look back at this trade, it could be a win-win for both organizations.
Yeah, I was going to say, Braden Yeager, not a slouch himself. Like you said, spent last season or the last 4 years with the Moose Jaw Warriors, winning a championship there, had 95 points, 35 goals. What do you think the plan will be for Yeager with this Jets organization? Is it a year now down in the AHL, or do you think he gets a chance to compete for a roster spot?
I don't think he's going to be on the roster this year. I mean, I'm looking at the team right now. They're going to have like 2 or 3 guys, fighting for that second line center spot. One of them is Brad Lambert, who spent last year in the AHL and is going to get a good look at that second line spot after the Jets didn't re-sign Sean Monahan. So they have an opening there. And Cole Perfetti is going to get a look there too again after his first kind of full season in the NHL. So, the organization kind of views as his rookie year, his true rookie year, even though it wasn't. I think he's going to the Moose, and that'll be it. And they'll go from there, see what they have in the player, and go from there. It's just the way the team's constructed right now. And the other thing with the Jets is, one of the knocks against them at times is they like to over-marinate some of their prospects and that sort of thing. That whole philosophy may be shifting now after we've seen some of these, especially the McGroarty thing, where there was differences in opinion on his development path. So I suspect Yeager to be in the minors this year, but I imagine he gets a good look going forward, and we'll see what happens, right? I mean, there's going to be openings, elsewhere in this lineup going forward, especially come the 25-26 season. When this team has a lot of decisions to make in terms of its roster. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I don't expect he'll be in training camp for sure. I don't expect him to be he would definitely be on the outside looking in coming into training camp.
Scott Billick of the Winnipeg Sun joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz sitting in for the vacationing Jason. And you mentioned Cole Perfetti there. He was actually the name that had been brought up last week. We were talking about potential breakout players. What do you think we can expect from Perfetti this year, coming off a year in which he, was just shy of 20 points or 20 goals and 40 points?
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing with Cole Perfetti. You basically have to look at his first half of the season to see how good he was in that. Almost a point per game player at one point, and especially when he was playing under Scott Arniel. And Scott Arniel is now the new head coach after Rick Bowness retired. Arniel really trusted Cole Perfetti as a top six player in his lineup, and Cole was a point per game player during that time when Arniel was the interim coach, when Bowness was away dealing with a personal family matter. And so I think it is, because the problem that Cole Perfetti learned a really tough lesson last year, and how difficult it is to play a full kind of 82 game season and really kind of keep up that, and really when the league, after, let's say, even the All-Star break or after Christmas, wherever we want to draw that line, when the league starts to clamp down, tighten up, and start playing a different sort of brand of hockey, Cole found it very difficult to play within that. And there was a lot of learning, and he didn't play a full 82 games, even though he would have been available for them, but he was scratched for several games, dropped down to the fourth line, didn't see any time in the playoffs. It was a learning year, but everything I've heard about Cole Perfetti and everything we've seen from him, I think it was a learning experience at the end of the day. And I think there is a real opportunity for a breakout year, whether it's at center, whether it's back out on the wing. Scott Arniel wants him in his top six, so he doesn't really have to necessarily worry about that too much this summer. And having talked to Cole during the summer, I mean, he's been in the gym since essentially day one. Didn't really take much of a break. He had to be, to be fair, and this isn't to joke, but he had a break. I mean, he didn't play at all in the playoffs and was barely playing down the stretch run either for the Jets. So, there's definitely reason to believe that he can take that next step. He's so smart. He's so skilled. If he gets a little quicker, he can certainly be a really good asset on that line. But his smarts and his skills playing on that second line, that's what the Jets need from him. But they need him to do it consistently. And he was looking really strong in the first half of last year, and then it really tailed off in the second half. But I think if he learns from that, and going into kind of his fourth season, and it's really his first, second full year after having one full year kind of under his belt now, I think there is an opportunity there. And so we got to see. He still hasn't signed yet. That's the other thing. Really, the only other piece of business the Jets have to do now this summer is figure out what they're going to do with Cole Perfetti. And from everything I've heard this summer, and I've reported on it, Cole Perfetti wants a long-term deal. And I think that if you're Kevin Shoveldayoff, and he wouldn't talk about it too much today, but given the summer with McGroarty and all that sort of thing, if you have a guy who is a first-round pick, who you think very highly of, and he wants to stay in Winnipeg, I think you're more than overjoyed to talk long-term deal with Cole Perfetti. So we'll see what happens in the next few weeks. But the Jets have had a lot to deal with this summer, and it hasn't just been Brecker McGroarty. It's been the coaching change, and then they had this big summit where they were doing a lot of different things, trying to, it's not restructuring the organization, but getting everybody sort of on the same page, refocusing, and then trying to build a roster after losing some key pieces. So it's been a busy summer, even if it hasn't always been in the news for the team. But I think now they got to start looking at Cole Perfetti and getting him into camp, because they don't want him to miss training camp, and start getting that contract kind of hashed out. Now, just on the topic of Perfetti and that deal, do you have any idea of where they might go in terms of term and AAV? Yeah, I mean, so everything I've been told this summer is Cole Perfetti's peers are all signing for long-term deals, and that's what he wants. And long-term is in between that 6 to 8 year range. Obviously, the Jets have that option for the 8th year. So it's in that range, and anywhere, roughly in the $6 million range AAV. So that's where it seems like his side is on and would like to go. Jets haven't commented too much on it, but I got to imagine if you can lock up that guy for a long term, that's what they would want to do. So the bridge option is also available out there. One of the numbers I was told was look at Shane Pinto's contract, his bridge deal, 2 years, $3.75 million AAV on that one. So that's sort of where that would start, I think, for Perfetti. If you kind of look at at their point totals and games played. I think Pinto and Perfetti played the exact same games. Perfetti has a few more points. I think Pinto has a few more goals. But it's in that 3.75 if it's a bridge deal. But if not, if it's a long term, we're looking 6 to 8 years and around $6 million from what I've been able to gather this summer.
Scott Bellick joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you, talking a little bit of the Winnipeg Jets offseason. Just one more for you, because you talked about Scott Arniel, and he was promoted from associate coach. He was there as an interim head coach as well for a little while. Was there any discussion on an outside hire, or was this just obvious from the get-go and the perfect fit?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the Jets did a really good job, or a decent job, at least if you're on the outside looking in, at making it look like they were sort of looking elsewhere for head coaches. But I think as soon as they brought in Scott Arniel to be the associate coach 2 years ago when Rick Bowness came on, that was your succession plan right there, right? I mean, he was well known to the organization, both played for the Manitoba Moose, coached the Manitoba Moose, played for the Winnipeg Jets as a Jets 1.0 way back in the day. Very strong ties to here. His wife's from here, all that, right? Like, so he was definitely brought in with an eye to that happening. But I think the Jets had to make it look like they were doing this really extensive search, because when you come off the back of back-to-back years where you get bounced in the first round, and especially this past season where they won 52 games and best defensive team in the league, won the William Jennings, all that sort of stuff. Your goalie's the Vezina Trophy, and then you just sort of implode in the playoffs. It would be wise to make it look like at least that you're looking elsewhere for maybe a different set of eyes on this organization. But and I wasn't always sure if Scott Arniel was the right guy, especially with some of the names that were out there this summer that went to other places and that sort of thing. But one of the things that Scott Arniel has had to learn, and one of the things he learned from Rick Bowness, is the value of relationships and with his players, and it's a big deal these days. You see it across the league, and it's important that they had to. And a lot of the players on this team, like before Rick Bowness quit or retired, there was a lot of talk of some disgruntled players. Cole Perfetti was among them, right? Nikolai Ehlers. I mean, that was all the speculation. Is he getting traded and that sort of thing? I think there's been some mending of fences over this summer with Scott Arniel and some of those players to say, hey, like, we value in this role. We want to see you in this top six. We want, and there's going to be opportunities, and it's not going to be, sort of the old school sort of way of coaching that Rick Bowness had in certain aspects of his coaching style. So I think at the end of the day, this is probably the smartest move in terms of, okay, I think there's a lot of guys on this team that really enjoyed Scott Arniel as the associate coach and got along well with him. I guess the other side of that sword there is, he goes from being good cop to bad cop as the head coach, right? So we'll see. But I think it's good. Arniel has some good ideas. He said he's learned a lot from his way back when he was coaching in Columbus, and he's been under since then Alan Vigneault, other guys, right? And Pierre Violette, another one. So he said he's learned a lot from that. Ultimately, we'll see what happens on the ice, right? We'll see what happens come training camp in terms of what philosophy shift this team will maybe have. But there's a good base defensively. They got the best goaltender in the world, arguably, if it's even arguable right now. And they got to figure out the forwards and that sort of thing. But it seems like they got off to a good start with Arniel, and it seems like it's headed in a good direction. Awesome stuff, Scott. Thanks so much for doing this today. Yeah, anytime, guys. Appreciate it. There you go. Scott Bellick of the Winnipeg Sun joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. That was Around the NHL, brought to you by McDonald's. You can go grab a $1 cone or $2 sundae at your local McDonald's. We'll take a break. When we come back, going to be joined by Lori-Ann Munzer, author, Olympic gold medalist, and she wanted you to ask her some questions, similar to Colin Livingston. She said, get the listeners to send in some questions. So anything you want to ask an Olympic gold medalist and author, get those in. 1-833-401-1440. It's the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Also, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Be Melon Jolly, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt. And fan favorites, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today, or download the Booster Rewards app.
Why tee off at the Ranch Golf and Country Club?
A fun, unique layout offering premier conditions. The Ranch has been ranked as one of the top public courses in Canada.
Unmatched value. Score Golf Magazine rated the Ranch as the best value in Edmonton.
The service, from tournaments to special events to the pro shop. Superior service that makes every visit exceptional.
The Ranch Golf and Country Club, a laid-back environment where anyone can enjoy an amazing day on the fairways. For details, visit theranchgolf.com.
Need a new AC, furnace, duct cleaning, or water treatment system? Save up to $2,500 on a complete system and get a 12-year parts and labor warranty with Modern Air and Water. Your Air Ease Pro dealer at modernairwater.com.
You adore your Audi, value your Volkswagen, baby your Beamer. But some of that love fades when repairs take several days and tons of cash for the dealership to do their magic. Let Cochran's Automotive rekindle the flame. They'll professionally repair your import, usually in one day. Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Honda, and Toyota. Cochran's Automotive will return her to mint condition. Open at 7 a.m. Let Cochran's Automotive repair your automotive air conditioning before things heat up. Cochran's Automotive, 780-452-5001.
Mr. Rooter goes on a water slide.
Welcome to the Sky Screamer. Please keep your arms crossed over your...
Oh, don't worry about old Mr. Rooter. I'm the last person you have to worry about clogging this pipe.
Actually, it's for your safety.
This plumbing-themed amusement park is amazing. To see the world from inside a giant pipe, it feels like Honey, I Shrunk the Mr. Rooter. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm ready to be flushed.
For a plumbing good time, slide into the DMs of Mr. Rooter.
The road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a new 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers, or save $7,500 on all new 2024 XC60 Recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide how to move forward, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin? Mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Been a long time coming since I seen your face. I've been everywhere and back, trying to replace everything that I had till my feet went numb. Praying like a fool that's been on the run. Heart's still beating, but it's not working.
From puck drop to kickoff, it's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440.
Presented by PlayAlberta.ca, Alberta's only regulated online gambling website.
I feel again.
249. Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1444, streaming on Oilers Nation YouTube, Facebook, and X accounts. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you here. We got Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson as well, keeping things on track. Right now, we're going to get to the Olympic Report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where the rates never change. If you need service at late at night or on the weekends, you don't need overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. We bring in Olympic gold medalist and our usual Friday host, Lorianne Munzer, joining us on a Thursday. Lorianne, how are you doing today?
Hey, doing awesome. How are you doing there?
Doing very good, thank you. So you typically come on Fridays, but tomorrow you are going to be a little preoccupied with a couple golf tournaments, correct?
I am. I have got the A Safe Place golf tournament that's out at Northern Bear. So going to be heading just southeast of the city there. It's an annual tournament, raising some funds for shelter for women and children. And the good news is I will not be golfing or riding my bike. So going to be doing some speaking, doing a little bit of appearances there, and just meeting all the golfers and all the supporters of this amazing fundraising.
So, Lorianne, when you go out and do these events, what is the first question or most commonly asked question that comes your way when you talk about the Olympic gold medalist and your experience there?
Oh my goodness. One of the first questions is always, do you have your medal with you? Don't tell anybody, but I'm going to be bringing my medal out tomorrow. So I'm not sure if the participants know that or not, but I'm going to have the hardware to pass around in that. The usual second question I get is, how often do you play golf? And I don't play golf a lot, to be honest. Usually it's for a lot of tournaments. I just haven't been around to, be at a course a lot and practice golf, but it is something that I do enjoy. I'm not very good at it, though. I do have to, put that disclaimer in.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have to go out there for a fantasy football round to establish draft order and go golfing. And for me, I'm kind of dreading it, but we'll get through it. It's my once or twice out this year, and we'll see how it goes. But people don't want to hear about that. Lorianne, I did mention you were coming up, and people sent in some questions about sports performance and off season in the NHL. Of course, we're quite focused on that. One question here from Rick saying, "Hey guys, just a question: how much more is sports visualization being used in today's athletes?"
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I think it is like 95% utilized, because it literally is the game changer, the game maker, or the game breaker. If you're not doing it, you're probably not having the performances of your life or what you're expecting. And the thing is, when you can see it in your mind, you're able to connect the dots and bring the happenings so that you have a quicker response versus reaction. Because if you're reacting, it's good, but if you're able to respond, it's you being in charge more than just, I'm throwing, a move or a deke or a block in my way, or there's an obstacle, and you're able to come back and move through it a lot easier and hopefully get the outcome that you're wanting. So it's huge. The other thing that most people don't know is that you don't have to spend a lot of your day doing it. You can do them in short little snippets. You could do like a minute or 2 minutes. I didn't do anything more than 5 minutes, because I found that if I was always sitting and visualizing, and if I did 10, 15 minutes, it was actually detrimental. And it was just easier doing the short little snippets and bursts. I mean, my event was 3 laps, maybe a minute on the track. So that's more applicable. And I think you have to think about, how could I apply this to the situation that I'm going into? Am I on a long shift? Is it a long event like an Ironman or something like that? Is it a lift, or just whatever it is that your event is? And then you can also apply it to business. You can apply it to going into your next meeting, going in and asking your boss a really tough question, asking for a raise, or you're trying to negotiate what would be the questions that maybe you're going in and putting a proposal to a new vendor. What kind of questions would they have? And you can play it like that.
We had a text come in on YouTube from a Reaper. He's saying, I've got a question for Lorianne. What is her recommendation road bike tire size for recreational riding? Example, 700 by 32 millimeters. He also says he's lost 25 pounds by riding this season nearly daily.
Holy smokes. Congratulations. That is amazing. I think it's going to be something with what you're comfortable with. If you're doing more like what they call like the gravel style of riding, you're going to want a wider tire. I always go with a 700cc. That's a standard size road tire. Mountain bikes are a lot smaller or a little bit smaller. The width is going to be all depending. If you're only doing road, I like a 23, but I also know that a 25 millimeter, 2.5 centimeters is going to be good as well. I like the skinny tires. If it's raining out, you're going to want a fatter one, just so that there's more rubber grabbing the concrete. But again, it's just thinking about, am I doing off-roading and on-road, or is it just street? I think you can probably use a 25 mil as a standard. If you want something a little more spongy, a little more softer, a little more forgiving, probably a 32. And if you want a really hard butt ride, go for a 19 or a 23. I don't think they make the 19s anymore.
Maddie C texting in to 1-833-401-1440 says, hey, Cons, can you ask Lorianne, what is the hardest part about preparing for the Olympics?
Oh, my goodness. Preparing for the Olympics, the hardest part was probably preparing for the unexpected. I literally sat down with my coach and we brainstormed, we mastermind anything and everything that would go right and everything that could go south, and then the unexpected. Because I had a plan going in of what I was thinking it was going to be, because 4 years earlier when I was in Sydney, I had my first Olympic experience. So I had an idea of how things were going to be set up and run, transportation, getting to the venues, and then competing. But then going in solo in 2 different events, there was a lot more possibilities that could be coming my way. And it was like, what is the unknown? And it's always, what can you prepare for? And then what kind of shenanigans can you dream up and come up with? There were a couple. So first off, I had nobody to time me. The Canadian national coach was off at the road race. So I had nobody to time me for my very, very last effort just before we started racing in the match sprints. And that was something I couldn't do. I couldn't get a stopwatch out and still crank it up at about 65, 70 kilometers an hour to figure out what my timing was. So I asked actually my competitor's coach, Martin Barras from Australia, if he could time me. And of course, he's going to say, yeah, I've got all eyes peeled on you. But when I told my coach that, he was just furious. And the reason he was furious was because, and it's natural to think this, that you're giving your time away and letting them know how your preparation is going. And I told my coach, I said, Steen, there's nothing more that Anna Mears, who I was going to be going up and racing against, there's nothing more that she could do. And he was like, oh yeah, well, like all the work has been done. It would just be the mental work that would be done. The other part was just before I went into the semifinals and finals, my rear tire exploded as I was cranking it out at 65, 70 kilometers an hour on the track with 100 other riders. I had a 50-50 chance of keeping the bike upright or crashing it and just like sliding on the hardwood floor, right? You just get splinters. But I managed to keep it up. When I went to the pit, my front tire had exploded because of the heat, and there was a bit of a mechanical malfunction with my tires. But France and Australia came back and they put me in the game with a brand new front disc wheel and a rear disc wheel again. So that was one thing I never could have seen coming, either one of those things. So it's going in, being as prepared as you can. Think of all the shenanigans and stuff that's going to go sideways that your friends could make up, probably as you're, maybe out celebrating just before you head off for one of your trips. And that's how I always prepare for it, is what kind of shenanigans can we come up with?
Lorianne, final question. Book coming out in a couple of days. Where can fans get it? What can they expect when they open it up?
Oh, coming soon. If you can hang tight until Saturday morning. My book is called One Gear, No Brakes, but it's BREAKS. So a play on words. It's the breaks you get in life, not the brakes, not on my track bicycle. It will be on Amazon, so you may find another version, first or second edition. I think those copies are almost all gone. I'm just waiting for the green light. It's going to be posted on social media. When you can access it, I'll give you the link as well. So stay tuned. Saturday morning, it should be coming out.
And the book signing at Audrey's. Do you know the day for that?
Yes, that is going to be Saturday, September 14th. We're looking at about 2:00 in the afternoon. I'm hoping to move it up to about 1:00, but we'll see what the powers at Audrey's bookstore say. I'm going to do a bit of a speaking a little bit before, and then, of course, the book signing.
Excellent stuff. Lorianne, thanks a lot for coming on today.
Hey, thanks, Connor. Have a good week.
You as well. That is Lorianne Munzer, Olympic gold medalist, joins us every week here on the Jason Gregor Show, the Olympic Report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Check them out online at legacyheating.ca. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by the general manager of the Montreal Alouettes, Danny Machocha. Over the phone, we'll talk a little bit about his team, his time in Edmonton, and a whole lot more here on the Jason Gregor Show. But right now, we'll get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Ewell, supplying the city of champions and all of Alberta with great electrical gear since 1976. You can order yours now at ewel.ca. Here is Declan Kruger.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the MLB. 4 finals from earlier today was the Cubs over the Tigers 10-2, Cardinals over the Brewers 3-0, Nats over the Rockies 8-3, and the Yankees blanking the Guardians 6-0. One game in action right now sees the Athletics over the Rays 3-1. Reds and Padres set to go at 4:40. Angels and Blue Jays. First pitch for that one, 5:07 in Toronto, and it's going to be Burr on the mound for the Jays. Three other games in the MLB. We'll see the Astros and Orioles, Phillies and Braves, and the Mets and Padres. NHL news is the Winnipeg Jets and Pittsburgh Penguins are swapping a pair of prospects. Jets forward Rutger McGroarty is heading to the Penguins in exchange for forward Braden Yeager. EA Sports has named the Hughes brothers as cover athletes for NHL 2025, and in the CFL, Winnipeg Blue Bombers linebacker Adam Bighill, added to the injured list, will miss the game versus the Ticats in Week 12. CFL Week 12 action does get going tonight in the CFL with the Saskatchewan Roughriders in Toronto taking on the Argonauts. 5:30 kickoff for that one. WNBA action, the Dallas Wings taking on the New York Liberty out in New York. Tip off for that one at 5 p.m. And news out of the NFL is Jahan Dotson is now a Philadelphia Eagle, and the Falcons have signed quarterback A.J. Terrell to a 4-year, $81 million deal. Coming up in hour 2 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Danny Machocha, Montreal Alouettes general manager, and Colin Livingston for the Cantor Race Report. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
In 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Hey, it's Brad McCory here from St. Albert Dodge. Our August month-end blowout is now on. So until Saturday, August 31st, we won't say no to any deal. And here's what we have to offer. 20% off new 2024 Ram 1500s, no payments for 90 days on selected vehicles, and how's this? A brand new Jeep Compass 4x4 for only $37,000. If you're looking for a new vehicle, don't buy until you talk to us. Head up the trail and see how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Experience more at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, and exhilarating sporting events.
Get ready for global icon Paula Abdul live with special guests Taylor Dane and Tiffany at the Edmonton Expo Center Arena Friday, October 4th. The Paula Abdul Straight Up to Canada Tour 2024.
Get your tickets now and visit our full calendar of events at edmontonexpocenter.com.
Jonathan and Murray are friends.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Except when they talk about which stadium is more fun in the summer.
Dude, Commonwealth has Elks Fan Park. Tailgating at its finest.
But it can't compare to the old ballpark in the River Valley. Riverhawks games are electric. But ask them who makes the best beef jerky in Alberta, and they'll tell you.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky.
It's the only thing everyone can agree on. So pick some up for your summer pregame snack.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky, because you don't win friends with salad.
Honk your home for Papa John's newest deal. It's one big deal for one big pizza. An extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's original fresh, never frozen dough. Hand stretched thinner to make 8 extra large slices with your favorite mouth-watering toppings. So hold and fold that slice like a New Yorker. Bigger is better when it comes to pizza. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get some extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99 at Papa John's.
Rule number 116. In Waterton, walk with a lean. The wind will always prop you up. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
You don't work for GMC, but it's kind of like you do because you pay what we pay. GMC employee pricing is on now on all 2024 GMC Sierra half-tons and Hummers. Oh, but at Wolf GMC Buick, it's even better. Get GMC employee pricing on every in-stock 2024 GMC. If it's new and a 2024 and it has that beautiful GMC logo on it, then it's GMC employee priced. Pay what we pay, but only until August 26th. Get into Wolf GMC Buick now and see the over 200 GMCs in stock.
Hey, Danny, yes, that was me.
Keeps
How are you?
always shining in a pretty
Yes, can you hear me?
cabin.
Coming to you live from the eWell studio. The Jason Gregor Show is brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Right now on the show, we're going to get to our big guest of the day, brought to you by the JPHL, an academy-style approach for U14, U15, and U18 players with a focus on skill development and education. You can learn more at juniorprospecthockeyleague.com. We're now joined by the general manager of the Montreal Alouettes, who the Edmonton Elks will take on Sunday, 5 o'clock Mountain Time. Danny, thanks a lot for doing this today. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. Appreciate you coming on this show today. So maybe just kind of start us off here. What does a CFL general manager do mid-August, midweek, waiting for game time?
Oh, I just got back from state of Florida. We just finished covering the Dolphins, the Jaguars from Jacksonville and Tampa Bay, and we've just covered with our Scouts 32 NFL team. So we're just waiting for cut down. We're getting ready to see who's going to be made available, who can we potentially bring up here for the second half of the season, and at some point in time, try to look forward to 2025 season and try to get a few of them on their contract and have them show up at training camp. So we're constantly looking ahead to see what's on the horizon moving forward, knowing full well that we're going to need some help, whether it's this season or potentially with the upcoming season.
When the NFL does make those cuts down to their 53-man roster, then the practice squad, I believe it's on Tuesday, how long before you're in negotiation with some of these players and their agents?
Well, I would say probably if we wait probably 3-4 days, I mean, we'll reach out to them and say, listen, we understand that they just got waived. We understand that there could be some opportunities that may present themselves elsewhere. And no different than Austin Mack. I give you an example that got cut last Monday, and by Sunday, we had him here in Montreal. We understand there's going to be a few days where they want to contemplate what their next move is going to be and to see the level of interest elsewhere in the NFL. And once those doors are no longer available, well, then they're going to circle back with us and say, okay, now we're ready to go. Or they may say, listen, we're going to play it out. So there's going to be some injuries in the NFL. We think we're probably going to get a call week 3, week 4, week 5. That's what teams are telling us. And so we'd rather wait till next year. So either way, we're going to reach out to them and we'll figure out, where they stand.
Have you noticed, since the spring football leagues have kicked off, the XFL, the UFL, those sorts, has it been tougher to get American players to want to come up to Canada? Or is it still that thought that, the Canadian Football League, the stability is there, the chance to go back, is that still more of an appealing thing for some of these guys?
Well, depending on who you talk to. So for some, it still appeals to them due to the fact that we've been around for as long as we have been around. Others, obviously, they understand that it is the game is played in the spring. They're home. They're getting paid in U.S. dollars, and the season ends in June. So they have a window of opportunity to go to an NFL training camp, probably a month and a half later, compared to when they do come up here, they have to complete the season, and that window of opportunity shows up in the month of December or January. So it's their choices, and some of them choose to come up here and take their chances up here, and some choose to stay behind, knowing they're going to double down from the spring league and go to an NFL training camp the month after.
Danny Machocha joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in for Jason. I want to ask you just one more question kind of regarding scouting, because you had Davis Alexander come in when Cody Fajardo went out, and he looked like he was ready to go immediately. So when you're scouting American quarterbacks, whether it's at the collegiate level or professional, what are the attributes you're looking for to have success in the CFL game?
Toughness is one. Definitely intelligence is another one. Precision is another quality that we're looking for. But they have to be tough. They have to understand, concepts and do they fit what we're trying to do as far as our identity is concerned? And, are they precise? Can they make every throw that we're going to ask them to make? So those are certain qualities that we look for. And then obviously, does he have the ability to extend plays with his feet when he does get flushed out? Can he throw when he's on the perimeter? Can he extend the play? So those are some of the attributes that we're looking for in a quarterback.
And Cody Fajardo looks like he is going to be good to get back into the lineup this Sunday with a hamstring injury fully recovered. Just what does Cody bring to your team that really takes them over the limit? And, obviously last year led you guys to the Grey Cup championship.
Well, he's a tremendous leader in the locker room. He's someone that's well respected. Obviously, he's been in Coach Moss's system now for a few years. They go back when they were together in Saskatchewan. So, there's just an understanding that they can just look at one another and he can pretty much figure out what's the next play that's going to be called. And he probably sees the game slower now, so he just can, and he plays at a relatively, whereas the anticipation is so much quicker that the game has slowed down, so he knows pre-snap where to pick up the ball and where to throw it, and he's on schedule, and he moves the sticks, he can distribute the ball, he can make checks at the line of scrimmage, so, he gives us that experience, and the fact that we got on that little bit of a run last year in the second half of the season that led to a Grey Cup, that led to an MVP award. Right now, he's playing with an abundance of confidence.
Danny Machocha, the general manager of the Montreal Alouettes, joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz sitting in today. Now, speaking of Coach Moss, so, he was with Edmonton, had some good moments, some bad moments. When he left, I think some of the fan base was a little unsure about him as a head coach. He goes to Saskatchewan for 3 seasons, kind of, gets back into it, does a very good job with the Rough Riders, and you guys hire him, and now he might be one of the top coaches in the CFL. I just wanted to ask you about what you've seen from Coach Moss and his growth in the past few seasons.
He's just a leader of men. He's got an uncanny ability to bring everybody together. He can identify what we all have in common. He can also identify our differences, and he can mend those differences. And he's someone that's there's not so much gray in his life. It's black or white. But he's a pro player. He'll always take care of his players. The stances are elevated when you're around him because he expects you to come in and give the maximum effort week in and day in and day out, and he in return will give you the same. So, like I said, he's just a tremendous leader. He's able to rally the guys, and there's a belief in that locker room that there's no game that we line up in that we can't win. Put it this way.
Danny, just a couple more questions for you. Really appreciate you joining us here on this show, and obviously you did spend some time here with the Green and Gold, and now some news coming out with Edmonton, the new ownership, and going from a community-owned owner or community-owned group to a single owner. What kind of advantages do you think that might have for this team going forward?
I just think I would use the term clarity, and probably with a single owner, you can probably get the alignment that you're looking for that probably you wouldn't be able to get under a different business model, I would say. So I know that Mr. Thompson has purchased the team. I know that he's been a season ticket holder there for the longest of time. I've heard his story a little bit. So he can go in and he can have it aligned in a particular fashion. And with that alignment will bring clarity, and that should only help the process of trying to put a competitive, just to have a competitive team. And I think it's going to be a win-win proposition with the new ownership group, and in the sense that they don't only want to win on the field, but they also want to win off the field. So it's all depending on who he surrounds himself with, making sure there's proper alignment, identify the roles, and make sure there's clarity in what they're doing.
Now, the Elks are in town to take on your Alouettes. The Elks winners of 3 straight. Of course, your team 9-1 on the season. It's been a great year. What kind of challenges do the Elks present to your group?
Well, Edmonton offensively, they've got that running game going. So we're gonna have to be productive on 1st and 10 defensively. We're gonna have to try to put them in 2nd and long, and that's where I think we're at our best when we do have the opposing offense in 2nd and long. So we're gonna have to be stout versus the run, and put them in a situation where they're gonna have to execute. 2nd and +7. I give you an example on offense. Well, obviously we want to distribute the ball. We're well aware of their defensive line, especially their 2 edge players that have been pretty dynamic here the last few weeks. They've got some defensive backs that have been making plays in the back end. So we just got to be smart on how we attack them and make sure that we distribute the ball. And we got to get our running game going. And we got to start to stay out of second and long. And there's always a tendency to forget about special teams play. But as we witnessed last week in Saskatchewan, special teams always has a say, always will impact the football game. So we're going to have to try to be as dynamic as we were last year, not last year, but last week with our return game, and make sure that, we make the kicks that we need to make.
Johnny, just one last question for you. Sad news yesterday as a former head coach and offensive consultant with the Alouettes, Ken Miller, passed away. And I just want to get your thoughts on his passing and maybe a little bit more on a personal level, things that we might not know about him.
Well, I had the opportunity to meet Coach Miller several times when I was in Edmonton and he was in Saskatchewan. Here's what I will say about the man. Tremendous human being, extremely engaging, always available. I always appreciated my conversations with him before and after the game. We'd go to league meetings, and we would share. We would sit down, have breakfast, and have a cup of coffee together. And just his, when you listen to his progression, where he started and how he got to where he got to. It's a fascinating story, and to see the way he did it the old-fashioned way by rolling up your sleeves and getting after it, I'm sure that impacted a lot of people that he was able to touch, especially in the CFL community. And as much as he was a very, very good football coach, he was probably even a better human being.
Absolutely. Well, Danny, thanks so much for doing this today. We really appreciate it, and best of luck to your team throughout the remainder of the season.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You as well. That is Danny Machocha, general manager of the Montreal Alouettes, formerly a head coach here in Edmonton, won a Grey Cup. He built some, or was a part of some really good teams here in town. That is our big guest of the day, brought to you by the JPHL. More information at juniorprospectshockeyleague.com. Wanye, would you ever get into scouting? Go down and watch some football in Miami?
Well, not for football, Connor. I would be thrown out of the industry in seconds when
You
I
would
couldn't name a single player on either team or in the league.
You'd recognize talent. You don't need players.
Well,
You
foot
changed
speed.
the game. Like,
Foot speed.
that guy moves well. Let's look at him.
I'd be
And
trying-
then they'd say, that's Tyreek Hill. He's very good and he will not be released. And you'd say, shoot.
Olympic fast, I'd say.
Yeah.
Guy's quick.
We should get him on the team.
Now, scouting hockey is an interesting thing because, I've always kind of asked, I don't understand, what does a professional scout do? Do you go to an NHL game, Connor, and come away, like you say, be like, wow, Connor McDavid's super fast? For what purposes do we use professional scouts? Is it to identify, people we think could fill holes in our team, usually, for the most part, right?
Mm-hmm. Guys thinking outside the box a little bit. Hi, Emberson. Man, looks great. Playing in a bad situation.
So
Get him in here.
How many times would they have scouted him, do you think, in advance of a trade?
Good question. I'm sure they got a book on everyone. To a certain extent, you're watching players around the league. Maybe you're not really assessing players who you have no chance at ever bringing in. Pretty obvious. But I think the depth players probably factoring certain things as well. Like, okay, man, this guy played for a bad team, but when you go back and if you have an analytics department, you say, no, the numbers aren't too bad, actually. Maybe there are some things we could find from him and do a bit of a deeper look into. I think for him, it's probably more so Coach Knobloch saying, this guy can play. The guy had him in Hartford, but yeah, I think you invest in that scouting department, that's going to pay off long term.
Oh, for sure. I know some scouts fill out player cards.
Mm-hmm.
So they have what's the organization's opinion on this guy? They can go through and say, well, he was scouted on this date. This guy said this, that type of thing.
And you see it a lot, maybe more in NFL, maybe not, but you'll have GMs will talk to everyone at the draft. And it's like, well, yeah, he's going to be drafted there, but that could be done in a year. That could be done in 2 years, right? Like, look at Reed Schaefer. Maybe the Preds interviewed Reed Schaefer and thought, that's a guy we'd like to bring in maybe one day. You got to do your due diligence.
He's got the heart of a lion.
Yeah. We would only trade Matthias Ekholm for one man. And it's not Tyson Barrie, it's Reed Schaefer.
What's with all this Tyson Barrie talk, Connor? Switching to Oilers.
He's available. He's familiar. He played with Darnell Nurse. I think that's it.
How old is Tyson Barrie?
Oh my goodness.
Is he 34 years old?
You know I'm not Jason Gregor.
I know, but just theoretically speaking. Is he 34, 35?
33. He just turned 33.
He's got how long left in the tank, Connor, by your estimates?
Well, I'd say depending on how his next PTO goes, maybe 2 years, if that.
Yeah, 1 year left. Was he right side?
Yeah. If my memory serves correctly, he was Darnell Nurse's partner in the Western Conference Final against the Avalanche.
Was it 2019?
2021?
Oh, 2021?
2022?
If you liked it in 2021, you'll love it. 2022, you'll love it in 2025.
In the room, great ad.
Great
ad. On the ice all the time, I don't know. I'd be a little bit hesitant. Bring him in on PTO, maybe see what he's got, see what the coaching staff thinks. But
if there's one thing we love, it's a good PTO offering. I think it should be, you should just bring in fun guys for PTOs just to keep it fun in training camp. Like everybody knows who the Oilers 23-man roster is going to be for the most part. How many spots are there really up for grabs at camp? 2?
Yeah, maybe.
Throw a few PTOs out there.
One
Let's
defense,
see.
maybe one on the fourth line,
Get
maybe.
some former Oilers to come back. Let's see some wacky stuff. Let's have some interviews.
Can have some fun with it, right?
Why not?
We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll get to some of your texts. The Oil Report. We'll also be joined by Colin Livingston at 3:40. Also, Mark Spector. You're going to talk some English Premier League soccer at 4 o'clock with Chuck Booth of CBS Sports. And I really got to stop saying CBC. CBS Sports. We'll talk some soccer. We'll do a whole lot more here on the Jason Gregor Show. 5 questions with Declan Kruger as well. What will the Mount Rushmore be today? We'll find out about 4:40. It's the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 4040 and Edmonton Oilers or Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, IG is Sports 1440. Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
The only thing as hot as the weather this summer is a night out at On the Rocks. Every weekend, enjoy live music and top DJs spinning your favorite tracks. The dance floor is the place to be. Celebrating a birthday or stagette? Let OTR take the work out of the planning for you. Book your party online at ontherocksedmonton.com. Join OTR every evening from 4 p.m. for a great atmosphere and good company. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Grab your Good Vibe Drive and head to On the Rocks, corner of Jasper Ave and 118th Street.
The road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a new 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers, or save $7,500 on all new 2024 XC60 Recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide how to move forward, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Bricks Summer Sleep Event. Take up to 50% off mattresses, up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals, and buy more, save more, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and up to 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplaces. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Move Water is your one-stop shop for all things water. From freshwater to wastewater, we've got the pumps and solutions to keep your water moving where it matters most.
Move Water, your water solution experts.
Visit movewater.ca today.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But
When it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk, elevate your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
CA, use promo code SUMMER. Get a $50 casino free play with a minimum $5 deposit at playalberta.ca. Make sure to use your game sense. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here at the EWEL studio. Right now, we're going to get to the Oil Report, brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. The Midsummer event is on now. You can lease a new Volvo 2024 XC90 for 0% at Canada's #1 Volvo dealership, volvocarsedmonton.com. We've got Wanye Gretz. And we've got Rick from Oilers Nation Radio. Rick, how you doing?
I'm all right this afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, let's get everybody a mic here, so we don't have to share one.
That's cool.
Hey,
I've never seen this.
That's why we have 3 mics for everybody.
I dig it.
Big budget.
That was nice of you, Wanye, to share your mic.
Well, it's like we're recording a song in a studio. There's lots of singers in the band.
It is, it was giving off those vibes, but
Yeah.
we got it figured out now. So, Rick, obviously for the Edmonton Oilers, interesting offseason the last couple of days here. We're on the topic of PTOs. Wanye, you say the more the merrier. Maybe 1 or 2 potentially. How many spots are really open? How many PTOs do you think realistically the Oilers could look to offer here? And are there any names you like?
Honestly, I don't see more than 2 or 3 coming in. I don't see a specific name. I think the big names that everyone's talking about right now, just because they played here before with the Schultz and Barry, I don't see how they fit on this roster going forward to a team that's expected to get back to the Stanley Cup final. They had their time in the sun a couple of years ago. I think they're onto a different roster now. I don't really see a big name out there right now. I think in order to get that 2 RD spot taken care of, it's going to have to come through a trade. And outside of that, I honestly believe that we have enough on our roster right now in the organization to move forward this season.
Wanye, what do you think about that?
Over under? Or what about
No
Rick's
over under,
logic?
just PTOs, anyone that would make sense to you. Because, yeah, Tyson Barrie and Justin Schultz, like the text line blows up with these guys. Some of us might have said, I don't know, like PTO is one thing for me, and I'd still have to see it in the preseason that these guys can still hack it.
But I love fan fiction, Connor. I love when Oilers fans decide something's happening for no reason whatsoever. Like the fact that we're looking to Justin Schultz, who hasn't been the answer for 8 years, as the potential answer. That's what's the best about training camp. And then preseason, you get a Tyson or a Ty Ratty who goes out and just lights the world on fire. You incorrectly conclude he's going to win the Hart. And then you tweet the joke. I tweet every year. Connor's looking over his shoulder, and we laugh and laugh.
We get a text coming to you, Wanye. Does Wanye squee for Reed Schaefer? Honest Ed.
Honest Ed. I do squee for Reed. I really wish he wasn't traded. I got to find a new guy, but I just love Reed Schaefer so much.
Okay, I got some questions for you guys. I'm going to run through some player names and numbers, and I'm going to throw over under. And you tell me your thoughts. We'll go left or right. So we'll start with Wanye. We'll go to Rick each time, and then we'll circle back to me for the question.
This is fun.
Connor McDavid, over or under 39.5 goals this year?
Over.
How many over?
I think he will score. He will return to form. I'll put Connor to 50 goal a year.
All right, Rick.
Yeah, I've got Connor just a hair over 50. I think he's extra hungry after that game 7 a couple months ago. I think he comes out and tears this league apart this year.
I'm going to stick with Connor McDavid. Over under 97.5 assists.
Over. No, I say there's no way he's getting 150 points. Wanye, what are you talking about, you crazy idiot? He'll get 130 points. So let's work backwards. That'd be 80 assists, 50 goals.
I told you he's hungry, man. I'm going over on both of those. I still have him close to like 150 points this year.
Now,
he's angry. He's hungry. He wants this.
He had 153 a year ago.
I know, but it's just so high of expectations to put on a guy.
He put him there himself.
Okay, Leon Draisaitl, people off here when it comes to goals scored. Leon Draisaitl over under 44.5 goals this season. He had 41 last year.
Over. Yeah, I have him back to a 50 goal pace again, right around there, couple up, couple down. Once he finds that angle again from that spot where he likes to shoot on the power play, and those start going in like they did 2 years ago, you can't stop those.
What if they had 350 goal scorers next year? Connor, Leon, noted children's author Zach Hyman.
Well, my next question. Zach Hyman, over under. He jumped up quite a bit. I'm going to say 42.5 goals over under.
You know what they say about the good times? They never end. Over 50.
I have him like around the 45, 42 goal mark. So I'll just go with a hair over, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him just take a dip under.
When I saw Connor McDavid dangerously perched on Zach Hyman's shoulders at his own wedding on the dance floor, I said, that Zach Hyman's going to score 50 next year. You'll see. Look at him. Tree trunk legs.
We move on to Evan Bouchard. Power play specialist, noted. Took a step up in his game, I thought, in the playoffs. Evan Bouchard over under 79.5 points.
Oh, over. I think he's going to be a point-a-game player.
Yeah, I hate keep doing this, but I think over too. He's going to continue going up in his progression in his career, and I think he takes another step this year.
Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Rick from Oilers Nation Radio here. It's the Oil Report. We're doing over-unders for almost my prop bets, but the odds might be terrible. I don't actually know if these are close at all. Evander Kane, over under 10.5 games played.
That's got to be over. I honestly think he's back. I don't know what his surgery is, but even if it's like some sort of hip type of surgery, it could go all the way through the year, or the majority of it anyways, but I think he comes back probably around January, maybe on the other side of the four nations or whatever it's called. And he'll get 15, 20.
I think so too. You cleared out all the space. You get rid of Cody Ceci, looking like you're going to keep Broberg, looking like you're going to keep Holloway. You keep neither of them. I think the only thing you've done is allow Evander Kane to come back before the playoffs, really. You've got the cap space.
Well, hopefully we eat some of it with that 2RD.
My final one for you here. It's going to be someone that everyone loves here in this city. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Obviously, 104-point season a couple years ago. This year, down to 67. I will say Ryan Nugent-Hopkins over under 70 points this season.
The Nuge will bounce back. I didn't realize there's only 67 points. How many did he have in the playoffs, though?
Give me a minute.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were looking right at it. My apologies.
I'm on his ESPN, not his DB.
I see. I'm not trying to mess with you over there. I'll put over. Yeah. I think the Nuge is going to have a good year. I think 67 points is actually an unfair representation of his season. He had a good year.
Yeah, I can see him getting back to a point per game-ish around that area.
So if he were to get up to 70, that would be his second highest point total.
Yeah, it's funny between his first and his second there's a bit of a gap.
A bit of a gap.
A 100-point year for the Nuge. What a guy.
In the playoffs this season, in 25 points, he had 25 games, 22 points.
That's unreal.
Last year, 12 games played, 11 points. The previous year, 16 games played, 14 points. So he's produced.
Keep Nuge forever, man. Love the Nuge.
1-833-401-1440. Oh, Steve from Drumheller says Arvidsson, 100 assists. Just played into the corner and let the guys do the rest of the work here.
My goodness.
Christian texts in saying Barry on a PTO doesn't make sense. Seems like he'd be the man out if the Oilers had a right defenseman at the deadline. Doubt he wants to be traded to a bad team at the deadline twice.
Listen here. We are in off-season mode, and we are calculating unlikely scenarios to entertain ourselves until something actually happens.
You know what is kind of funny? That when they traded him to Nashville kind of made a push too for the playoffs last 2 years ago.
They did.
Like they actually played very good hockey despite selling off a bunch of their players. So, well, the Preds are going to be fun to watch this year once it all gets going. We'll preview that at some point here on the Jason Gregor Show. Okay, Rodrigo has one for you guys. Stuart Skinner, over or under 1.5 assists?
Oh, wow. I don't even know what his numbers are before. You know what? He likes to play the puck. I have to go over on this one.
Wow.
He likes to play the puck.
I'll go over as well with you.
Yeah.
He scored a goal with, was it Lethbridge?
What?
Yeah. Have you not heard the goal call?
Stu Skinner scored a goal
in the dub.
Yeah.
With the Hurricanes? I did not know this.
Okay, well, during the break, we'll dial that up. We'll give it a listen so you can see it. I just want to see here. Stuart Skinner. Yeah, he had a couple assists throughout his time in the dub. Had 1 in the AHL, 3 in the AHL, and he had 2 actually a couple years ago. So 1.5 bar is actually not a bad number from Rodrigo. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll speed things up in the Cantork Race Report with Colin Livingston. Rick, thanks so much for doing this today.
My pleasure.
There you go. That's Rick from Oilers Nation Radio, along with Wanye Gretz, Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, and Donovan Paulson. Hey, Donovan, we're going to take a break here. Declan went for a walk. When we come back, Colin Livingston is here on the Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Rule number 37. Island mosquitoes don't believe in personal space. Keep bug spray ready at all times. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
The locks are on a timer. They're going to get out.
Sounds like job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Service team reporting. With the remarkable reach of our bucket trucks and other equipment, we assess, service, and maintain your electrical lighting and automation systems.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
You turn on the tap and water comes out. You press the handle and flush the toilet. Living in our modern world, we sometimes take for granted or don't even think about all of the services and conveniences that are around us every day. But GS Construction does. Right under your feet, there's a whole network of underground infrastructure that needs to be built and maintained in order to have these basic services. GS Construction has been laying the groundwork for your community for 50 years. Find out more by going to gsconstruction.ca.
Be melancholy, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt, and fan favorites, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
Hey, Leduc, can leading edge physiotherapy help you? Well, this is a question I face every day. Let me answer the best I can. Do you have a pain or injury to your toe, foot, ankle, knee, hip, lower back, middle back, neck, shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, or finger? Are you dealing with a sprain, strain, fracture, tendonitis, bursitis, arthritis, dizziness, balance issues, surgery, whiplash, or headache? Okay, I can't list all the problems that we can help in leading edge physio in under 30 seconds, and I can't promise we fix everyone. But I can promise that we'll combine our experience, skills, technology, and hands-on care to give you an edge. Life shouldn't hurt. Find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
So you've decided you want to start hiking. Nobody would say, I'll just wear my kids' flip-flops until I have more experience.
The first thing you do is buy the right shoe size and style to fit you. Same with golf. You can't just buy clubs off the rack. They won't be the right size or style for you. Only Fitted Golf works with you to identify your swing style and then matches your clubs exactly to that swing. Check out our Instagram and YouTube channel to see the success others have with clubs fit to their swing. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV. Anything that's exposed to the elements or has moving parts needs regular maintenance. And when you consider an RV, well, it falls into both categories. Lots of moving parts and sitting out all the time, which is why we hire the best RV technicians in Alberta to come work here at our new, bigger store in Leduc.
Noble has giant indoor service space that can hold the biggest RVs in the world.
That's right, Bob. The vast majority of our indoor space at No Bull is dedicated to service and repair. You spend the summer in the great outdoors, and we spend the winter doing scheduled maintenance, so you're ready to go next season.
Sounds like a year-round thing, Rick.
That's it exactly, Bob. Our techs are the most highly experienced men and women in the business. We're solving problems and creating solutions every day. Whatever your used RV needs, our service team has seen it before and knows exactly what to do.
And that's No Bull. NoBullRV.ca.
With you, Declan Kruger, keeping us on track. And if you're watching online, you can thank Donovan Paulson, the birthday boy. He's just 22 years old and he's already crushing it in life. Happy birthday, Donovan. If anybody wants to bring by a cake to the studio, feel free. He likes chocolate, he tells me. Today on this show, lots to get to still. Of course, we got Spec. We're going to talk some soccer at the top of the hour, 5 questions. But right now, we'll speed things up in the Cantork Racing Report. Cantork excited to announce that we now have machining capacity in-house with quicker turnarounds, improved quality control, and ultimate flexibility. Call 780-436-2000 or email colin@cantork.com to find out more. Colin Livingston joins us in studio. Colin, how are you doing today?
Always a pleasure. Kudos to Declan there. That was awesome enunciation on 20. He really hit the T in 20. I love that.
20. Declan, can you tell us again?
I don't want to ruin it.
20.
And then just for clarification, did you say if anyone wants to bring a cake or a keg?
Both.
Nice.
Chocolate cake or any keg.
Yeah. No,
any keg.
Whatever. They both pair naturally well together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Be a good combination for Donovan.
I remember being in my early 20s and having that face when you'd say your age to people, like, yeah, that's right, I'm killing the game. And now people are like, how old are you? I'm like, you better shut up and ask me a different question.
Well, speaking of questions, we opened it up. We said text in your questions for Colin at 1-833-401-1440. And the first one that I saw here came in from Lance, but it kind of led me to another question because it starts off with, what did you guys think of NASCAR stripping Austin Dillon of the win last week and his playoff spot being cost in the process? Do you think he'll win the appeal? But I thought, we don't talk a lot on NASCAR, Colin.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. We spend a lot of time racing NASCAR Canada. Obviously, I'm partnered with Tagliani. They're going to be racing this weekend at ICAR just outside of Montreal. Very, very different from the professional level NASCAR that we see on Sunday on TV, where you've got the Cup Series, the Xfinity, and the Truck Series. I really soured towards the Cup Series. The nature of the governing body has been to create fake excitement at every single race, so that there's, you know, their championship used to be over a season, who scored the most points won. Now it's, if you get a win, you're entered into the quote unquote playoffs. When you get to the playoff rounds, all competitors are still involved. That's unique to NASCAR. Like in the NHL, in baseball and football, once you're eliminated from the playoffs, you're no longer, you know, on the same field as everyone else. Not just that, but then, you know, it all comes down to one race. You know, there's 16 drivers that enter or, you know, qualify for the playoffs. And every couple of races, 4 get dropped off until at the very end, you've got 4. And it's come down to the same thing pretty much every year, that, you know, the last couple of laps, there's a caution. We're going to have a green, white checker finish. Who pulls out? Do you come in to make your pit stop and take the tires? Do you stay out and maintain track position? It's the same thing year after year after year. And yes, people can make that argument that that's kind of what motorsport is. But when it's this predictable, it's no longer exciting. And that really speaks to how the governing body really views their series, is that if they just did racing the way racing is supposed to be run, they don't think people are going to want to watch it. So, you know, as I've said before, I really think that NASCAR has gone from being a form of racing to being vehicular entertainment. It's just, it's, you know, motorsports equivalents of wrestling, that, you know, they pump up heels. They have their heroes. They have, you know, the rivalries. There's, you know, aside from somebody getting hit in the back with a chair, there, you know, I don't know that you can really tell the difference.
That could happen post-race potentially.
Yeah, usually, you know, even when there's fights, you know, there's a lot of bad words shouted. There's a lot of pushing and shoving and grabbing. There's very rarely a punch ever thrown. So yeah, I mean, you know, we need to get, you know, some chairs involved, maybe some barbed wire, like, you know, something to make it a little bit more interesting. I mean, NASCAR wants excitement, so let's have a couple of props ready.
Now, is that, do you think, an actual strategy by NASCAR to try to encourage some shenanigans to keep people interested?
100%.
Interesting.
100%. I mean, the drivers, you know, in large part are from the southern US. They're kind of prone to solving you know, conflict through, you know, arguing, fighting, stuff like that. But no, I mean, NASCAR out and out said a bunch of years ago that they were going to get rid of penalizing on-track contact. And they said, have at it, boys, because they said, you know, you make a move on another driver, you take him out, he's going to remember that, he's going to repay you. So the detriment's going to be knowing that if you do something, someone's going to do something. Like, okay, wait a second. So, and this is kind of what happened a week ago with Austin Dillon, is that he was in a position that if he won, he was never going to make the playoffs. But if he won, he got entry into the playoffs. Like, he wasn't going to qualify based on points. On the last lap, he took out 2 cars, like crashed 2 cars. So the guy who was leading, he just threw it in, didn't really hit the brakes, slid up, knocked him out of the way. Joey Logano goes into the fence. In the melee, they slowed down. Denny Hamlin throws it to the inside, and instead of realizing he just got beat, he turns down and he right hooks him into the wall too. And he goes on to win the race. NASCAR, to answer the question from the text line, NASCAR let him keep the win. So he gets the prize money. He gets that on his record that he won that race, but they said that it's not eligible to get him into the playoffs. So, you know, and they've said, they've used the term that did cross the line. So wiping out 2 cars on the last lap is not okay. There's a phenomenon in stock car racing called the bump and run, where if a driver is really clever, especially on a track that doesn't have a lot of racing room, or it doesn't have a lot of traction as you start getting outside of the main line, a driver can just position their car and you're basically stuck behind them. Unless you have the opportunity to make some kind of superhuman move, you're basically stuck behind the guy. And as you get to the closing laps, opportunities start going away. The bump and run is where you kind of, on short track racing, we do this all the time, again, in NASCAR Canada. Car's faster than the car in front. He'll tap him in the bumper and you'll go through the corner and he'll come up and he'll tap him again. And it's really a tap and you feel it. And then again, you knock on that door 3 times. If he doesn't kind of pull out of the way, and I say he, it could be a she, you drive them into the corner until they can't hold it. They slide up, you make the pass, and away you go. You don't destroy them. You don't hook them into the wall and crash them, but you give them a harder shot or you just drive them offline. Accepted practice. Everyone does it. Everyone knows it. What happened at the pro level, just over a week ago was, definitely way more than, it wasn't a bump and run. It was crash. It was, I don't care where you're going, I'm going to destroy you. Now they did lose the appeal, which was announced either this morning or yesterday. I can't really remember, but Richard Childress Racing has announced that they're going to appeal the appeal to the next level, because they still think that it's a little bit too severe. NASCAR did reduce, there was a three race suspension given to the spotter of Austin Dillon, who was screaming on the radio, "Wreck 'em, wreck 'em, wreck 'em." That got reduced to what they call time served, which meant he had already missed last weekend's race at Michigan. So yeah, I don't think they're going to win this one.
Colin Livingston joining us here on the Cantork Racing Report and the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz sitting in for Jason. Now, if we jump to F1, a little bit of a break, but they're back starting in about 12 hours, I do believe.
Give or take.
Practice
I'm not
round.
sure if the great thing about the F1 app is if I load it up right now, it gives you the running countdown until FP1 starts.
I think it's about 12 hours. The Heineken Dutch GP, correct?
Correct.
So we have a text come in here. No name. Hey guys, should we just pencil in Max Verstappen as the winner? But I'm just looking here. He hasn't won since June 21st.
It's
or 23rd. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the stereotype right now. That F1, for the last 2 years was largely Max Verstappen dependent. It was only a matter of how far are they going to win. They were killing everyone by 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Like they were on a different planet. Obviously the last, whatever it's been, 7-8 races, basically since Miami when Lando Norris managed to get the win. It's been tumultuous. There've been 6 or 7 different winners. 4 different teams have produced winners. McLaren definitely seems like they're the better overall package right now. They just have to work a little bit on their strategy. But going into this weekend, if you're a betting person, I don't know who I'd put money on right now because we don't know what the teams managed to accomplish during the break. There was a 2-week mandatory shutdown. It seems like Mercedes is bringing some new tech to the track this weekend. This track at Zandvoort is very, very, very difficult. It's not a standard configuration. There's a lot of banking in a lot of the corners, and there's a lot of really, really blind braking zones. By no means do I think this equates exactly to the real world, but I've played a lot in my simulator, using the iRacing software, which is surprisingly accurate. This track, there's the rule of open wheel racing and road course racing is you generally want to get all your braking done in a straight line, let the car roll. You need to largely wait until the car is straight again before you start applying the throttle so that you don't spin the tires. There's a lot of, what's called trail braking, where you're turning the car under braking, which really, really has the potential to upset it. So whoever manages to get the win this weekend is definitely going to deserve it. Now, not saying that Max can't win, but there's going to be at least 4 or 5 drivers in the hunt.
Now, if we check our attention to IndyCar, they're in Portland this weekend.
Yep.
Who's favorites here? Who should we look to?
Anyone in the top 20.
Anyone.
Anyone.
That's what we like to see.
Yeah, it's The Penske guys have had a really good run lately. Although they kind of tripped over each other last weekend at Gateway. Joseph Newgarden really pushed the boundaries of acceptable restarts, which ended up wiping out 3 of the cars. He dragged his feet and dragged. The green flag came out and he didn't go, but a bunch of cars behind did. And by the time they figured out that he didn't go, Alex Rossi, Willpower, who is Newgarden's teammate, and I can't remember the third car, but they were destroyed. Willpower gave his traditional single finger hand salute of disapproval to Newgarden when he passed on pit road, which is quite common for Willie P. But yeah, they've been doing well on the road courses. Ganassi, Scott Dixon and those guys have really run well. It could be a McLaren. It could be, Dale Coyne Racing. You just don't know who puts it together and just finds that thing, which is what makes IndyCar like so unbelievably exciting to watch, because you just don't know.
Sitting down on the weekend, I know NASCAR's at the bottom. Is F1 above IndyCar, or where would you rank them for you personally?
It's a sliding scale. That's a great question, by the way. The broadcast quality of F1 is so much higher than that of IndyCar, and I don't want to slander anyone or mention any names from the IndyCar side, but I think the broadcast coverage on the F1 side, whether it's the Sky Sports or through the F1 app, is just really solid. There's not a lot of homers. There's not a lot of preferential treatment, really. Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, as the reigning champions from the last decade, they get their respect. In IndyCar, it tends to be, at least with the NBC broadcast, they really hype the American drivers over anyone else, and it doesn't really, to the detriment to some of the other drivers that are there. But the on-track racing in Indy, I think overall, even if F1's become a little bit more unpredictable, the on-track racing of Indy is so much better from through the entire field.
Good answer, Colin. Thanks for coming in today.
Always a pleasure. I love this.
There you go. That's the Cantork Race Report. Colin Livingston joining us here every Thursday on the Jason Gregor Show at 3:40. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk some English Premier League soccer. Who should be watching out this weekend? Chuck Booth's going to join us. We'll also hear from Mark Spector later on in the show. We'll look around the NFL, some training camps, and we'll do 5 questions. The Mount Rushmore trend continues. What will the question be today? We'll find out around 4:53, I would say, if I had to guess. Maybe we'll give ourselves some more time so we can really dive into it. It's the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, as well as Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. And if you want to watch us on Instagram, you can check us out at Sports 1440. Right now, we are going to get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, home of no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer at legacyheating.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station.
CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go. Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
We've finished construction of our gamma radiation containment facility. Is it up to code? Is it going to be safe?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Testing team reporting. We test your commercial operations using tools like infrared to ensure safe operation. Trust us to prevent potential calamity before it strikes.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
A sale this big only happens once a year. The Fish and Holes annual wall-to-wall sale is on now. 20 to 50% off everything in the store. You heard right. 20 to 50% off everything. 4 days only. Stock up on rods, reels, tackles, sonars, trolling motors, apparel, and well, everything. Sale ends Saturday. Shop early for best selection in store only. Southside and West End locations.
The red hot summer savings continue with Fairways to Heaven. Join us as we tee off at Westlock Golf Club, an 18-hole championship course like no other. The front nine features large, undulating greens and wider fairways, while the back nine offers a challenging, more traditional style with tighter fairways and smaller greens. On Monday, August 26th, a twosome can play Westlock for only $70 with Power Cart. That's right, just $70 for you and a friend with cart. Plus, there's still time for everyone to enter this season's grand prize draw for a $1,500 prepaid Visa from the Golf Cart people. For details and to reserve your tee time at Westlock, start here. K97fairways.ca. Fairways to Heaven.
Honk your home for Papa John's newest deal. It's one big deal for one big pizza. An extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99. Papa John's original fresh, never frozen dough. Hand stretched thinner to make 8 extra large slices with your favorite mouth-watering toppings. The hold.
We're back here on the Jason.
Like a New Yorker. Bigger is better when it comes to pizza. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get some extra large New York style one topping pizza for only $17.99 at Papa John's.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Employee pricing is on now at Chevrolet. Right now, get up to $10,500 off select Silverado 1500 High Country Crew Cab models. With an available 6.2-liter V8 engine and standard Chevrolet safety assist, including forward collision alert, getting out of the city and having a nice, quiet day on the beach is easier than ever this season. So relaxing. Ask your Chevrolet advisor for details.
If you've ever restored a classic car or seen one, you smile because you know what it took to get that beauty looking pristine. The same is true for men who restore their hair. Nothing but smiles for miles. Patients from all over Canada travel to see me, Dr. Vance Elliott, to have their hair loss treated and remedied. I've been helping people for 28 years. My practice is outfitted with the most innovative and latest hair transplant techniques and technology. And I do it myself. Contact us at drvanceelliott.com.
40 and the Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook page. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you here. We got Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson, the birthday boy celebrating the big 2-2. Get those texts in 1-833-401-1440 to the Ewell inbox. Please wish Donovan a happy birthday. Send him your favorite GIF or GIF. Declan, GIF, Wanye.
I think I'm a GIF guy.
GIF,
generally speaking.
GIF.
Yeah.
Okay,
GIF is for peanut butter, bro. Yeah.
I never know, and I'm never gonna know, so I'll just say both. Yeah, I would
Sure,
so.
man.
I'd have to say so. Maybe not, according to Declan.
I don't know. I only had like the all natural stuff as a kid, so I've kind of always been privy to that.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh no, you've never had Kraft peanut butter, Connor Bedard?
I have had Kraft peanut butter, but it's just like it's too sweet. Like I do. Maybe it's just like the way I was raised, but I do like the all natural peanut butter.
You were raised on a boat, right? Out at sea?
I was raised with an almond mom for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember one time getting unsweetened peanut butter given to me someone's house and being like, we're never going back to see that auntie.
I used to have to go like take handfuls of chocolate chips from the baking stash just for a sweet treat. Like it was tough times.
Tough times indeed. Right now, let's turn our attention to a little European football. As we're going to be joined by Chuck Booth here, we're going to go on the pitch, brought to you by Action Electrical. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project, service tag, and solar for commercial or residential. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net. Chuck Booth joining us. He covers the English Premier League for CBS Sports. Chuck, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm pretty good. How are you?
Doing very good. So, Chuck, a question for you. You grew up in the United States, so what drew you to the game of soccer, or I guess, football as they would call it?
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a pretty funny story because basically growing up in Baltimore, I didn't really know what soccer was. And then going to college, since I had cable in my room, one of my friends would basically break in every Saturday morning to watch soccer since we had it. And then next thing I know, like eventually I'm watching games along with him and then became a Spurs fan. And now I write about it.
So Tottenham's going to take on Everton this weekend. We were talking soccer earlier this weekend. There's a lot of people kind of slandering the Everton name and questioning, would they be relegated? My question for you, we got a full slate of games coming up this weekend. What are a couple you're most looking forward to tuning into?
Definitely the ones that are going to be most fun to watch are probably Fulham Leicester. Just because I'm very interested to see what Emile Smith-Rowe actually does at Fulham after getting that big move from Arsenal to now kind of be one of the guys that they're building around. And after Leicester got that big result against Tottenham, kind of just how they actually respond to that. Bournemouth Newcastle is also really interesting after Newcastle kind of labored through last week after picking up the early red card. And Bournemouth is a side that I think could actually surprise some people this year and maybe actually challenge for getting a European place. So this will be an important one for them to try and pick up points at home. But the game of the weekend overall should be Liverpool-Brentford because there's just going to be goals and attacks left and right for that entire game.
Now, I am a Liverpool fan, so I want to ask you, Jurgen Klopp out, you got Slot coming in here. Have you noticed any changes in the play tactically from the Reds this season so far? Obviously, we're very early into it.
Yeah, actually, since Liverpool came through Philadelphia during their preseason tour, I actually got to spend some time with the team and even talking to them and players. And one thing that stuck out was talking to Harvey Elliott. He described Slot's play as elegant compared to what Klopp does. You can kind of see that where it's definitely more attention on where passes are going and when they're being made, as opposed to just attack by volume. And you can tell that kind of the players are definitely going to need time to get their attacking movements together to figure all that out. But when they do, this team's going to be scary.
Chuck Booth of CBS Sports Soccer joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Chuck, I'm a Chelsea fan, so I'm going to start with a couple questions about them. Enzo has kind of come out and said that Raheem has no place on this team. He's obviously making, I think, $325,000 a week. He wasn't good last season. Like 30 minutes ago, I watched an 8-minute compilation of him just blowing attacks and being greedy, not feeding the ball. What do you think happens with Raheem here for Chelsea?
I mean, it seems like his two options are either Saudi Arabia or Juventus, since Chiesa is also kind of on the outs there. I don't really understand the whole thing there, because I do think that Raheem Sterling is a useful player. Like, he misses a lot of chances, but he also misses chances that only he is able to get into position to miss. So, like, there is a happy medium there on figuring that out. But, like, kind of Chelsea as a whole are just put in a very bad situation because they have 8 players for every position. So, like, at that point, yeah, a high earner like him has to go.
Similar to that, I mean, Lukaku spent the last 2 seasons away from the team on loan playing in Italy. Are we going to see, he didn't play against City in their first game out. Are we going to see him? Napoli's been the team, I think, linked to him a little bit. Are we going to see that again?
That's what it looks like, which I think is good, considering the only manager lately to get anything out of him is Antonio Conte. And everything with Napoli is also a dumpster fire. So at least that's a situation that he's used to by now.
Talking English Premier League with Chuck Booth here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, got Declan Kruger, Wanye Gretz with us here. It seems like there's always a lot of fanfare when it comes to Man City and what they've been able to do the last couple of years, and deservedly so. When you look at them heading into this season and the remainder of it, who do you think will be the greatest challengers for them to maybe take them down?
I think it's still going to be Arsenal again. I think we're going to get to the end of the season and City's going to be lifting the Premier League trophy again, just because I don't believe that you can win the Premier League with Gabriel Jesus as your number 9. And I don't understand why Arsenal still haven't bought a 9. Like, I get that there are like the actual like spending limits on the Premier League, but like Arsenal is one of the teams that, because of the fact that they've kept fairly balanced books over the years, they can spend. And there are strikers out there that can improve this team. And they're just like, no, we're going to put Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus up here.
Chuck, one of the big things that, obviously we talk about every season is relegation. I think a lot of people think it's going to be 3 up, 3 down for the promoted clubs this year. We had some Premier League guests on earlier this week, and they threw out Everton as a potential. Like, they looked horrible, their opener against Brighton. Everton just kind of seems to me like a club you just don't ever picture them getting relegated, no matter how bad they are. Do you think that's a real possibility, or do you think it is going to be, the 3 that came up this past season?
I think Everton's going to be in the mix, but I would agree that I don't see them getting relegated, because generally the teams that do get relegated can't defend, and that's just not Everton. Like, under Sean Dyche, you're going to do one thing well, and it's defend. And I know they let in 3 goals against Brighton, but most teams are going to let in 3 goals against Brighton. Southampton is probably the one team that was promoted that I do see sticking in the Premier League, and that it's probably going to come down to some mix of probably Wolverhampton and Nottingham Forest for that other spot of who goes down.
Villa obviously playing Champions League football this year. How much of a toll is that going to take? Do you think they can finish in the top 4 again?
Absolutely not.
Top 6 to make Europe?
They might finish in the top 6. But yeah, I mean, that squad is just not ready for European soccer right now. They don't have the depth. They're basically hoping that they're going to get magic out of the hat with Ross Barkley after Luton Town did it last year. Like, I just find it really hard to see them finishing in the top 4, definitely just because like all of the teams around them improved. Like, even with Manchester United playing Fulham to start the season, like once it got to the 80th minute of that game, I still felt like United was going to win that game because they were in control almost the entire time. And that's like not something that we've seen in a while from United.
So I guess the natural last question would be, who are going to be the top 14? Like, I think a lot of people look at the league, and obviously City, Arsenal's the debate. I picked Arsenal to finally win it, but City, Arsenal is the top two. I would assume most have Liverpool as that third team, and then there's some debate. Maybe you disagree with that. I picked Chelsea, pure passion pick. I don't actually think they're good enough to be a top 4 team, but I did it anyway. But who do you have finishing in the top 4?
I mean, mine is slightly also a passion play, but also I do see it happening, and that's Tottenham being that 4th team. Like this Dominic Solanke's signing and finally having an actual striker is going to go a very long way. And I know like he didn't score against Leicester, and like overall that performance for the team was disappointing, but I'm pretty sure he took like 7 shots in that game, putting like 4 on target. Like once he scores his first goal, his first hat trick's going to be pretty close to that.
Chuck, thanks so much for doing this today. I really appreciate you coming on.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
There you go. That is Chuck Booth, covers the English Premier League with CBS Sports. Glad to have him on. Mix things up a little bit, the monotony of summer. We'll dive into a few more things tomorrow. Declan, I think you'll be very happy that we'll get some college football talk on again tomorrow. Because, man,
you guys are treating me too well.
College football is right around the corner. And Wanye, I see you smiling over there. I know you're fired up.
College football?
Yeah.
I know something about college
football. Go Sooners.
I know a few things.
Yeah.
I know that the Colorado Buffaloes approached the Saudis about giving them money to recruit players. Like, this is public news.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Remember 3 years ago when there was no NIL deals?
Now you're just looking to find it wherever you can.
They're already at the Saudi Wealth Fund looking for money to recruit players. It took soccer 90 years of being a professional sport for them to get to that point.
College football. Looking out. We got Florida State will take on GT. That's Georgia Tech. Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Montana State, New Mexico, Nevada, SMU. You got Hawaii and Delaware. Love me a 10 p.m. start out in Hawaii. Wife goes to bed. I'm watching some football.
Declan, explain to me how you would approach a day like this as a true blue college football fan.
So this is technically week 0. Week 1 is when it really kicks into gear. This week, I'll only probably be watching the Florida State, Georgia Tech, and the Delaware State Hawaii games. And I probably won't watch the entire Delaware State Hawaii game. Hawaii's, the line is -40. You know what I mean? Like, they're getting Alabama versus Citadel type of line. I'm not too invested in, an FCS club like Delaware State or a Mountain West team like Hawaii, who's not going to do anything and is going to finish 3-9. But I am going to watch it to get just to get the butterflies out. You know what I mean? Get the juices flowing. But I have Florida State winning the ACC. I'm very interested to see what they can do. Georgia Tech shouldn't, the line is only 10.5. I think Georgia Tech is projected to be a little bit better this year, but that's the one that's going to have my attention just to kind of gauge how things are going to play out for the Seminoles this year.
Kind of respect those who might have committed to Delaware State, knowing we got a trip to Hawaii this season. I would take that free trip. It's a business trip for sure, but that's not going to be too bad. Declan, Georgia Tech, Florida State, did you mention it in Dublin?
It is in Dublin, yeah.
That's cool.
It's out in Ireland. Yeah, they did. The Notre Dame Irish had a game out in Dublin last year.
That's cool.
Yeah, and now Florida State's heading out there this year. Kirk Herbstreit said that Florida State's AD projects there to be like 20 to 25,000 Florida State fans in the crowd. I think that's probably a little high, but
how was the response to Notre Dame being in Dublin?
They loved them. It was a rocking crowd.
Colonists returning home 300 years later to play
100%.
football.
Oh man, they were right where they needed to be, right where they were supposed to be.
Now, question for you guys: like, let's say your favorite team. For me, the Chargers. For you, the Oilers. Declan, what would you say the favorite team is?
I can't wait to hear what
wherever
your
Jimmy Butler is.
No, Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Oh, okay.
Well, this one seems less likely. But so let's say one day the Rough Riders and the CFL is like, we're doing the international series, and it's in somewhere in Europe. Would that be something like is appointment viewing for you? Would you make that trip? Like if the Oilers had another game in Finland, I know they did Sweden, I think before, but let's say they did Finland. Wanye, are you booking that trip?
The international games, I think, are a really cool thing. I don't know. Yeah, I suppose. Like Finland would be a great place to watch hockey. Finnish people are nice.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Because I love traveling. I love geography. I love sports. And obviously I love my favorite sports team the most. But strange, like I said, strangely, I don't know if it would be appointment viewing. I would have to crunch the numbers. I would have to see how things work out scheduling wise. And it'd be a maybe for sure. It'd be a consideration, but it wouldn't be a 100% must do.
If I could take a guess at your favorite sports team.
Yeah.
Is it the Aurora Spartans of Division 3 football?
A good guess, sir. It is not, however. I do like my FBS clubs. I'm an Oregon fan.
What does FBS mean?
Football Bowl Series.
What does that mean?
So it's basically like Div 1 is like the best way to think about it.
I see.
And then like Div 2 is FCS, which is Football Championship Series.
The game is changing.
Game is changing, baby.
Teams moving around to different conferences, money being involved.
Wealth funds being tapped early.
Traditionalists hate it, but that's okay.
I really enjoyed the Buffaloes last year. I liked all the attention. Remember for like 3 weeks, all we cared about was Coach Prime, his sunglasses.
But that was it. Like it was a 3-week stretch.
But that to me was like I know college football is extremely popular, but like it was on a different level of zeitgeist there for a little while. They did a good job.
I think Colorado State popped up, Declan, in that Stanford game as well. Like randomly, like, maybe they're back. Oh no, they lost.
Yep. Yeah. That was a little. People had checked out a little bit by that point, but that was like, oh, maybe they could do something to get put on the map. Then Elike Omaner just, moss Travis Hunter. Shout out the Canadian kid. That
Albertan
was awesome.
kid too.
Yeah, the Medicine Hat kid.
Had him on the show. I think the following week.
Yes, we did. Is he already the best thing to ever come out of Medicine Hat? Or am I not caught up on my Medicine Hat history?
So what I remember of Medicine Hat the most is Emerson Edom, who was drafted to the Ducks, I believe, another color guy. When he was young, he was in Buffalo for the World Championships. And he said, like, Buffalo sucks, and I play in Medicine Hat.
Oof.
So my expectations of the Hat are kind of low. They've got to have some good hockey players come out of there, though.
I don't think Medicine Hat gets enough praise for its insanely out of left field name. Like when have you witnessed a hat filled with medicine?
You know what, Wanye? I had never thought of that, but as soon as you said it, I was like, oh, wow, he's right. It's true. Where it must be a translation from. Like,
I believe it's an indigenous thing
it has
about
to be,
it
I guess.
having like the medicine man in the area, but
interesting.
Medicine Hat is still a wild ass name.
It's crazy. You're right. That's a good pull. I never thought about that, but I'm thinking about it a lot now.
As a child, I was always bemused that the white mud was white mud, despite there not being white mud. I'm like, why is it called this? I still don't know the answer.
This is crazy. I need to be thinking about these things more because that one blew my mind a little bit too. It's just the white mud.
Have you ever seen white mud?
No, but that's not white mud, so no.
Trevor Linden's from Medicine Hat.
Oh, it's huge.
No, he did okay.
Chris Osgood.
Huge.
Kalen Porter from season 2 of Canadian Idol.
Enormous.
Had the hair. I think that's pretty much it.
Had the hair.
It's a thin list.
It's a thin list.
Well, pretty good.
You don't remember Kalen Porter's hair? You're telling me?
I didn't watch Canadian Idol.
I was more into Canadian Big Brother.
I
My
was more
local
into
reality
sports.
shows.
Not me.
Sports.
I'm more into the Carleton Knights of Northfield, Minnesota in Division 3 football. Go Knights.
I'll tell you what, I'll check up on them this season, see how they do.
Scalding Gourd. I was born a Cornhusker, and dag nabbit, I'll die a Cornhusker. Mackenzie Porter, Medicine Hat. Chris Osgood. Like I said, yeah. Might be delay there, but I said it before that one, Mitchell, but that is a good one. I think Trevor Linden's going to top it all.
You know who else is from Medicine Hat?
Whomst.
Bass player of Nickelback.
I thought they were all from Hannah.
That's not true. I was trying to sneak one past you.
I know Nickelback. We'll take a break. When we come back, more of your texts, 1-833-401-1440 to the eWell inbox. So we'll talk some Oilers, some NFL still on the show. Spec's going to be by for 5 questions and a whole lot more here. It's the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440. Also streaming on YouTube, Facebook. Just check out the Oilers Nation pages brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
For Arcelli hockey fans, your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
You see us working on the roads. You see us working in neighborhoods throughout Edmonton and area. But what are we doing? We are GS Construction, and we're moving, upgrading, and repairing all of that underground infrastructure so that other work can go on. Things like maintaining water, wastewater, and stormwater draining services. Things you may take for granted, but definitely need. For 50 years, GS Construction has been laying the groundwork for your community. Find out more by going to gsconstruction.ca.
Imagine hitting 13 out of 14 fairways from the tee. It can happen. It does happen with a driver created for you by Fitted Golf. We are the only company in Edmonton who fits for all 9 features of each golf club. Amateurs learn to play like amateurs from amateurs. Come work with our professional team of scientists, engineers, and club builders and get fitted with the clubs designed for one golfer. You visit fittedgolf.ca today. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep event. Take up to 50% off mattresses and up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals. And buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplace. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
A sale this big only happens once a year. The Fish and Holes annual wall-to-wall sale is on now. 20 to 50% off everything in the store. You heard right. 20 to 50% off everything. 4 days only. Stock up on rods, reels, tackles, sonars, trolling motors, apparel, and well, everything. Sale ends Saturday. Shop early for best selection in store only. Southside and West End locations.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
for comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The Thursday edition of the show. We got the Daily Grand, which is $1,000 a day for 20 years. You can log in to playalberta.ca and give that a go. Or you can also use code word SUMMER with a minimum $5 deposit and get $50 at the casino. Playalberta.ca. Make sure to use your game sense. We are coming to you live from the eWell Studios here in West Edmonton Mall. For the real power place to shop eWell for all your electrical needs 24/7. eWell.ca is your partner in power. The text line just humming along as usual. Morgan says the drummer isn't from Hannah. I looked it up. Daniel Adair. Looks like he is from Vancouver.
Oh, wow. So my lie turned out to be a truth.
Yeah. Well,
follow your dreams, kids.
Didn't you say he was from Medicine Hat?
I did. Well, I was throwing out a red herring.
He's probably been there.
Classic radio play.
That is kind of what we do here on the program. Eventually, we'll get lucky. Osgood is not from Medicine Hat. Oh, we've got two different people telling me one says he is, one says he isn't.
Is Chris Osgood even real?
Yesterday, he popped up on the show because of his mask. Today, people say he should be a Hall of Famer. Oh, he is from Peace River.
My goodness. Where was your source of data, Connor?
Medicine Hat Wikipedia page.
Oh.
I'm going to edit that right now.
You knew probably did that. The Medicine Hat Tourism Board.
Yeah, Chris Osgood, former professional hockey player. Those liars.
Liars. Medicine Hat Tourism.
Did you know that, Mitchell? Or did you look it up?
That's a good question.
It's an obscure fact. Maybe Mitchell is from Peace River and knows that.
Maybe he's Chris Osgood.
Oh, Montana Ray says he's not the original drummer, though. Was the original drummer from Hannah? Were they all from Hannah? Music scene's interesting, right? Like, you can pick up drummers on the street corner. No, they don't have to be from the same city, so. Lance says he should be in the Hall of Fame. Mitchell says, again, Peace River. Got it. Scalding Gourd says, Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes were prime time for less than Jason Alexander Trainwreck Bob Patterson. Is Scalding Gourd related to Sirius Gourd? No relation.
They're twins.
Similar names. You need to look into the Edmonton River Valley a bit. Going to look at the different colors of mud we have in our Edmonton, Saskatchewan River Valley. Do we have different colors of mud?
Sir, if you go look on Instagram at Edmonton River Valley, I literally run that account. I'm the only person who's ever logged into it in 6 long years. I know the River Valley. If there's white mud, like with a high degree of sediment, I've yet to see it.
Yeah, Wikipedia has definitely guided me in the wrong direction already once in the last 5 minutes. But I'm looking at the Wikipedia page and I don't see much for naming rights. Like, why did it become the white mud? And honestly, I know we have so many smart listeners. Someone will text in and tell us.
I've seen like gray mud before. We've all seen that. We are all familiar with the color white, though, by its nature, a clean color. Would it be even possible, Connor, to make white mud?
I don't think so. Origins in naming of it at Edmonton. White Mud Creek was first used by Dr. James Hector of the Palliser Expedition, who noted the white-colored mud on the banks of the creek used to whitewash the HBC buildings. So there you go.
What year was that? 1810?
Probably, yes.
Yeah, it went away. No more white mud.
Global warming.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I caught it. Lanny McDonald in white Medicine Hat?
Isn't that someone who should be in the Hall of Fame?
Or that could be someone who should be in
How
the
many
Hall
questions
of Fame.
you got going for the text lines?
Lanny McDonald's from Hannah, according to Wikipedia.
Lanny
Nickelback.
McDonald is from Hannah. He's not Chad Kruger's real. You don't suppose.
No, wait.
The timelines match.
He's 71 years old.
Chad Kruger's 64.
Known beauty. Really? Okay, well, we're learning a lot of random facts about Nickelback and Hannah and White Mud. We're all over the place here.
White mud in the River Valley. Well, I never. And I was proven incorrect by something that happened 200 years ago.
LJ says there's white mud by Snow Valley.
Actual white mud.
Yeah. Water with clay and mud makes war paint.
Water with what?
Yeah. That's like the paint pots. If you're heading to Radium, you can go mix some water in with the mud there and put it on the face. War paint. At least that's what I heard. Osgood played for the Tigers. Okay. Kelly Rudy played junior for the Tigers. Now we're just talking about guys who played for the Tigers. But the topic is who's the most famous person or thing to come out of Medicine Hat?
Do you know who was born in Medicine Hat? Prince.
Minnesota.
Nope.
Spruce Grove Corey says, in no world is Osgood a Hall of Famer. Overrated as heck. GM Parisian says the original drummer's from Canada. The replacement drummer is from the band 3 Doors Down.
Can you imagine Prince living 3 doors down from the rest of Nickelback and Medicine Hat? The music scene.
I love where this topic's going.
Nowhere.
I heard that Nickelback's original drummer was Chad Kruger's cousin from Camrose.
Is that so? You got to be mad as heck if you're Chad Kruger's cousin who plays the drums and you didn't stick it out in Nickelback. You've made a mistake, my friend.
JCD says, have you not watched the documentary? What documentary? Nickelback, White Mud, Medicine Hat. This segment has been absolute mayhem. Absolute mayhem. Declan, is there any sports we can talk about?
I watched.
Well, listen, Connor, I know you're an NFL guy. Sorry, Wanye, I don't mean to interject. I'll let you finish. Okay. No, I mean, listen, AJ Terrell, 4 years, $81 million deal. I don't know how you feel about him, but that Falcons defense continually getting better. That's secondary, especially. I know it's a little bit older, but Jesse Bates, Justin Simmons, now AJ Terrell, your number one cover guy, locked up. Kirk Cousins is, he's Kirk Cousins, but he's palatable. Is this a winnable division for Atlanta? And shockingly, is it going to be on the strength of their defense?
I think so. I think when you look at the Saints, beatable. Panthers, obviously beatable. The Buccaneers, yeah, it'll be tighter, but I think they are beatable. The offense, you touched on it there a little bit. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be good. Michael Penix, whenever he gets the chance, will be a solid player. Bijan Robinson, fantasy-wise, I think you got to look to take him early. And then just in terms of pass catchers, Drake London, he's got all the skill in the world. Darnell Mooney, I think, was a really good addition. Ray McLeod, not too shabby. They got Matthew Bergeron, a Canadian, at left guard right now. Jake Matthews, Kyle Pitts. Is this the year for Kyle Pitts to really take off? Yeah, offensively, they are really good. David Onyemata, another Canadian on the defensive line, coming over from New Orleans. And then, and Declan, I really like the aggressiveness, I would say. Okay, we have a good defense, but not good enough. Let's go get Matthew Judon from the Patriots.
Right, didn't even mention him.
We'll figure that one out for the contract. We'll see how he plays, but let's get him in the building and go from there. Then you go out there and you sign Justin Simmons, who's Pro Bowl player, not that old, but get him down here. Let's see how things go. They haven't really invested too heavily on the defensive side of the ball, which I'm okay with if you're going to bring in guys through free agency and reward the guys you have. But Jesse Bates coming over from the Bengals, very good player. And then AJ Terrell, good for him. What, $21 million a year, something along those odds or those numbers. So you know what? I would say I certainly enjoy that little ditty you dropped on us, Declan. Gave us a little sports talk here because I was just waiting for that text to come in. Get back to sports, Wanye. It was coming quickly.
Well, that's fine. We can
shut up and dribble.
Hey, man.
Okay, now back to the real stuff.
The St. Louis Blues double offer sheeted the Oilers last week.
Yeah.
That is literally the only thing that happened in the domain of sports that we're excited to talk about.
We had a trade. The Winnipeg Jets and the Pittsburgh Penguins.
That's true.
But we went to Winnipeg today. Talked about that.
We've covered our bases. You think that they asked me to come in and help when they didn't, actually? Do you think they didn't ask me to come in and help because there's lots of sports to talk about on August 22nd? Or did they need somebody to come in and distract everybody?
Distract. Beerman says, I got struck in... Like, how did we get to Prince? You did this, Wanye. I got stuck in Prince's driveway in Minneapolis after a freak snowstorm. And then he sent a picture. It is gated, so I would believe that somebody of some importance does live there.
He sent a picture of himself in Prince's driveway in a snowstorm?
Just the driveway, not himself.
And you think I'm wasting people's time? That is an amazing artifact.
Spruce Grove Corey says, I feel like Nickelback gives all their songs that aren't good enough to be on their album to Theory of a Dead Man. Also, Osgood sucks. JCD says there's a new Nickelback documentary on Netflix. Okay, so Nickelback documentary. Have not yet seen it. Honest Ed, this one I think is for you, Wanye. Was Lanny McDonald the original drummer for Nickelback?
We're getting to the bottom of this. All of us together. Tomorrow, Connor, will be my last day of my 14-day vengeance tour that only took 10 business days here on the station. If you want to get some time wasted, remind me to tell you tomorrow about the time I recovered the bass for Theory of a Dead Man, as in the bass guitar, as in got his guitar back for him. That's a tomorrow story.
Theory of a Dead Man. Barney says drummer is a true story. No, his dad. All right. The Nickelback documentary is awesome. And my bad. The OG was their cousin, same last name, but he was born in Camrose and grew up in Hannah. Jeff Walker, who used to work with Down the Dial, once told me a story about like how Chad Kruger would like show up at the bar in Hannah and just like chill, buy beers for everyone. Real cool guy.
Like after he's a big star?
After he's a big star, yeah.
Cool.
Pretty cool. Beerman sent in that picture, and that's just popping up again for me now. Triple C in a truck says, how about them Eagles? Yeah, Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, not sitting on their laurels. They go out there and bring in Jahan Dotson, a nice third option behind Devontae and AJ. Brown. Also bringing on Saquon. That's a move that I think is going to be very good for them. Mark says White Mud is named after White Mud Creek that runs into the North Saskatchewan River, built in the 1970s for the Commonwealth Games of 1978. Phase 1 ran from 159th to Fox Drive. I lived it. Phase 2 for the 1980s University Games from Fox Drive to Calgary Trail. Well, yeah. I mean, it was more so like, why did White Mud Creek become a thing?
I'm assuming it's got white mud.
But now we've been told the white mud is a thing.
You know what I'm starting to realize, Connor? For a guy who spends most of his day in an office or staring at a screen of some sort, I might not be familiar with all the different types of mud.
There's too much mud out there. Brad Kroger was the original drummer from 95 to 97. Adair joined in 2005 after the departure of Ryan Vicadol, 98 to 2005, who's from Brooks. It was Brandon Kruger. He says, sorry, don't worry about that. Theory of a Dead Man is great value Nickelback. Hey guys, getting closer to the regular season. Let's get more information on this fantasy league for charity. Looking forward to kicking y'all beeps. Well, lots of fantasy frenzy, but Tyler, we're working on it slowly. We'll have it ready for the start of the season. MTR says Eagles stink. He's a Niners fan. I take that with a grain of salt. Triple C in a truck says everybody in fantasy sleeping on Barkley, not me. Darren says the Elks were sold. Yeah, we did a lot on the Elks being sold last week.
A lot.
Also, actually, pretty good input from Ed Hervey last week on the sale, as well as Danny Machocha earlier today. Ken says, Connor, the Nickelback documentary is called Hate to Love and is on Netflix. I watched it a month ago, and yes, the original drummer is a cousin of Chad Kruger and maybe from Camrose. I don't recall. The replacement and current drummer was poached from Three Doors Down when Chad's cousin got tired of touring. There you go. I think.
Can you imagine the weighty decision to leave Three Doors Down to join Nickelback?
Big jump.
Nickelback's beloved. With all due respect to Three Doors Down, like that's not a hard decision.
It was a good move. Finally, Tyler Millwood says, why was it called White Mud Creek? Because the creek had white mud. What a waste of a Google search. But Tyler, we appreciate it. Chomsker's more Dolphins talk. Oh, we can talk some Dolphins maybe at 5:20. Why not? They're a hot team right now. The memes of the coach right now is very funny.
Very
how
funny.
much he's
McDaniel.
progressed. Mike McDaniel the last couple of years here. Let's take a break. When we come back, 5 questions. We'll get to spec, and then hey, we'll talk some NFL. We'll go crazy at 5:20. You are listening to the Jason Gregor Show or watching. If you're listening, it's Sports 1440. If you're watching, Oilers Nation, YouTube, Facebook, and X, or on Instagram, it'd be the Sports 1440 account. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like button. We'll be back right after this break. The show, as always, is brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
You got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need, Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
The Junior Prospects Hockey League is entering its 3rd season of gameplay.
The JPHL now offers academic and athletic opportunities in the 14U, 15, 17, and 18U age divisions. All JPHL games are broadcast live on Silent Ice TV with a showcase-style game schedule and high level of travel and accommodations for its team, staff, and players. To learn more about why the JPHL is the fastest-growing elite hockey academy stream in Western Canada, visit juniorprospectshockeyleague.com.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Employee pricing is on now at Chevrolet. Right now, get up to $10,500 off select Silverado 1500 High Country Crew Cab models. With an available 6.2-liter V8 engine and standard Chevrolet safety assist, including forward collision alert, getting out of the city and having a nice, quiet day on the beach is easier than ever this season. So relaxing. Ask your Chevrolet advisor for details.
Bam, $50 at the casino is yours. PlayAlberta.ca. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson, the birthday boy, with you here on this Thursday, August 22nd edition of the show. Coming up later on, we'll have Mark Spector, and I just confirmed this. Scott Petrick will join us to talk some Cleveland Browns. There you go. We're going to Cleveland because Cleveland rocks. That'll be around 5:20, give or take. But right now, it's time for what you're all waiting for. Another edition of 5 Questions on the Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by The Brick. You can check their fabulous sleep event for all your bedroom needs, from mattresses, bedding, and frames to nightstands, dressers, and decor at thebrickandthebrick.com.
It's time for 5 Questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
Okay. 5 questions. Question number 1. The Hughes brothers have been named the NHL 25's cover athletes. Who would have been your guys' choice? But more importantly, why?
You know what? I kind of like it. I think it's cool to have the brothers with like the deluxe edition. You know, I thought it was cool when they went with Trevor Zegras and Sarah Nurse, just doing different things, trying to grow it a little bit, appeal to different audiences. I know some people didn't like it because Zegras wasn't that good and not like one of the best players in the league, but they were trying stuff. He was very popular with the NHL shootout. So I will say, Declan, I actually think they knocked this one out of the park. To have 3 bros on the cover, that's tough to do. Yeah, I mean, they should have done it if it was possible with the Sutters back in the day, but missed the opportunity there. / NHL video games maybe weren't at that point, but I say they got it right to this time.
Isn't there 2 McLeod brothers? Is there?
Yeah, one's going through some stuff, though.
One's available.
Oh.
So, yeah, that one wouldn't be an option.
I'm just trying to think if there's other, how many other sets of brothers are there in the league that they could have pulled from? It's cool to have the brothers, right? Like, that's an interesting storyline. The like you said, the 25 athlete cover is supposed to grow the game. The fact that there are numerous Hugheses in the league, I get it.
Yeah, hey, it makes sense.
My choice, however, would have been that photo of Connor and Leon with Lauren Kyle at the wedding on her shoulders with the tequila bottle in the air. That should be the cover.
That would have been cool.
Question number. Oh yeah, and the Kachuk Bros, obviously. Question number.
We don't want them on the cover.
Yeah, we can't put them on the cover.
No, they deserve it.
I would. You kind of have to think
That
right?
actually would have been good too.
They deserve it. As a hater, they don't deserve it, but as a fan of the game, they do deserve it.
Joey Votto has retired. Where does he rank for your all-time Canadian baseball players, and what will you remember most about him?
This is a tough one for me. I have to be honest. I'm thin on the knowledge. I did a little bit of reading, but it's crazy to me they didn't let him play for the Jays. That's all I would conclude. Why wouldn't you let him? They're out.
Yeah, I mean, part of me thinks it is kind of cool that like he'll just have the legacy of playing for his one team the entire career. I wish the Jays, and maybe they did, would have given him the option to lace him up one time and just go out there, let him DH or something. If he's not number one, he's number two. I'd have Larry Walker right up there as well. But those would be my top two: Joey Votto, Larry Walker. I don't know. I'm not a big enough historian to necessarily, I think, put one over the other. So I'll put them 1A and 1B actually.
Question number 3. Ken Miller has unfortunately passed away yesterday at the age of 82. In honor of that, do you have a favorite CFL coach of all time?
Ron Lancaster.
That's what I said.
Was it? Oh,
Jinx.
You got Ron Lancaster? Well, I mean, then if I have to go somewhere else, Pinball Clemens with the Argos. Love the energy he brought when he was out there. The guy can do anything in the CFL, so I'll take Pinball Clemens.
Question number 4. Ellie De La Cruz made history last night. He became the 5th player in MLB history with 20 home runs and 60 stolen bases. Who is the most exciting player in the MLB?
I'd say Shohei Ohtani. Do you know why?
Because he's a gambler.
Because he made his interpreter disappear. Bing! Gone.
Not bad.
Where'd that guy go? Hey, where'd he at?
You know, Ohtani's a really good one. I mean, he can do both things. I gotta say, like, I'm really enjoying that young kid Bobby Witt out in Kansas City.
Yeah, boy can play.
But I think we're all fans of the long ball. Aaron Judge is the best home run hitter in baseball. So I'll go with Aaron Judge. Even though apparently he doesn't sign kids' autographs, that's okay. He gets a pass this time.
Do you want him to hit dingers, or do you want to stop for every little kid with an autograph demand?
Do you want dingers, or do you want the truth?
Dingers.
Dingers.
And question number 5. Your Mount Rushmore of appetizers.
Wow.
Define that appetizer here, please.
Like the thing you get
Appetizer.
before the meal.
An appetizer.
I don't know.
I'm thinking, like any general like restaurant you would go into where appetizers would be on the menu. So like wings could be there.
Because sometimes it'll be like
maybe a hummus
fries. Is
spread.
fries an appetizer or a side?
No, I get what you're saying. Fries for me, solidly a side. You obviously can get fries as an appetizer, but it's not a true appetizer the way like potato skins are, or maybe like Thai bites are if you're a Boston pizza guy.
I can't believe I'm saying this, Declan, but I'm agreeing with everything you're saying right now.
Thank you.
You're breaking it down.
Damn right.
You go ahead, Wanye. I got to research this one.
Mount Rushmore of appetizers. This is easy peasy. I'd throw a bloomin' onion on there. Remember those?
Oh, a good pick.
Like Outbacks, you don't
Never
see.
had one, but they sound good.
Oh man, they were like 12,000
Yeah,
calories. I think they started publishing the nutritional information, and Outback quickly made a hasty retreat. Used to be right across from the mall. I put wings on the Rushmore. Love a good wing. Love any sort of dip. Any sort of dip trios. Sometimes Moxie's used to have a dip trio that was quite nice. Those would be my entrance. Connor?
That's good. That's a good Mount Rushmore.
Okay, well, I will say this. Because, I don't like to label food. I don't like to put a label on anything. But I'll say wings for sure. Confession, I am a boneless guy. I like boneless wings. Boston Pizza has the Bandera pizza bread.
See, got dip. It's not the bread you love. It's the dip.
It's the dip that goes along with it. Some places will do like the cactus cut chips with a French onion dip.
Genius.
So that would be another one for me. And do nachos count?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Does nachos count as an appetizer?
I actually forgot.
Like that's a main meal for me sometimes. But I'm gonna say nachos. Load it up. Give me the chicken. Give me the beef. No olives. Extra cheese. salsa, and give me the sour cream on the side. I'll dabble with that.
Nachos are the cornerstone of appetizers.
Yeah, that's great. So nachos are gonna. So I'm gonna go wings, nachos. I was gonna just do chips and salsa, but with nachos there, I'm gonna take that off. So wings, nachos. I'm gonna go with gyoza.
Okay,
I saw that from JCD. I love that one.
Yeah, and my number one, calamari. Love calamari.
I had gyoza for the first time when I interviewed for the job of Jason's producer.
Where did he?
We went for dinner, and he ordered them, and he's like, "Help yourself," and I was hooked.
Were you like, I'm in over my head?
I got the job, and then the next time I went out with people, I'll grab the chicken gyoza just to start with.
Cool.
Yeah, he introduced me to it. I was like 29 years old or something.
Well, there you go.
Maybe even older.
And you've loved it ever since.
I love it. I look for it on menus all the time now. It's great.
I will say the best single appetizer I ever had was at my dad's wedding. It was like a fried potato patty with smoked salmon and some chipotle sauce on top, or some aioli sauce. It was so good. I could eat those all day. Never had them ever. It was out in Muskoka where they got married at some venue.
Is your father Connor McDavid?
My father's not Connor McDavid, because Connor McDavid is, I think, younger than me.
And yet he's your father?
How old's, pardon?
And yet he's your
He's all of our daddies. You know what I'm saying? But no, so I would probably say those four. Then obviously I just went into a spiel about food for a sec. So yeah.
That's the segment though.
It's okay if sometimes you haven't tried something, Connor. I'd never eaten a mango.
Really?
Till when?
33.
Really?
And someone's like, have you ever had a mango? And I was like, nope. And they looked at me like I hadn't left my room in 10 years, but I don't know. I'm a normal person. When do I run into a mango? Delicious.
Great. Oh, have you ever had dried mangoes?
No.
Tasty. Probably not as
little
healthy.
treat.
Yeah, a little sweet. Ty P says, I'm going to call you that now, Tyler. Ty P, a boneless wing is just a chicken nugget, you nerd. Guilty. I love it. I mean, you give me some sauce. If it's just a saucy nug, that's good too. But they call them boneless wings, so I'll get them. Barbecue sauce or salt and pepper.
If you told me there were no dips or sauces available, I would probably eat half the food I eat on a day-to-day basis. There's nothing to dip it in?
Guys, can I read a text just jumping back to our last conversation?
White mud?
This is from Brad the Commish on the text line. He says, I mentored Brandon Kroger when he first decided to become a chartered accountant. I guess I carry some blame in directing him away from a career in rock and roll. He's doing pretty good. Partner in a CA firm in Camrose, still getting his SoCan royalties, and has a great band that is super tight.
That is an unbelievable text update.
Yeah.
What's the name of that guy?
Brad the Commish, or Sevi the Commish as it comes through on the text line.
Thank you. That's a nice, happy ending that he's not in a bad spot. I was feeling bad there.
Sevi, I can't find you in my text machine here, but that is outstanding. That is a really good story. Bad advice, but he's doing okay.
The fact he's in another band, though, that's cool.
We talked about it. Here we go. Playbook Vic. Good to hear from you, my friend. Deep fried pickles, wings, Caesar salad, Red Robin's Tower of Onion Rings. Caesar salad, that's actually not a bad one.
The Tower of Onion Rings. I remember that one.
Yeah, it was good. Shrimp with cocktail sauce, no question.
Delicious.
Zucchini sticks.
How dare you? How dare you go from one end of the spectrum of deliciosity to the other?
You guys ever have chocolate zucchini bread?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Sauce, it's really, really good.
Wings, nachos, egg rolls, dynamite rolls. Farm Team says Vietnamese salad rolls with peanut sauce. Cheap Shot Charlie says potato skins, bacon wrapped scallops, beef. Oh dear. Carpaccio, wings, salad rolls. That's Darren. John says they aren't chicken nuggets because nuggets aren't chicken breast.
What are they? They're not rat.
Chicken stuff. Oh, Jorge? Jalapeno poppers. Best appy. Good call.
If people don't want to talk about gibberish, Connor, why are we getting so many texts?
People love it.
They love gibberish.
I'm not a big jalapeno poppers guy.
Oh, I like them. I can only have a couple because they're too spicy.
It's too much cream cheese.
Yeah, you don't want to. I don't know. Moderation. How about that? You can have a couple. You don't want to go too crazy. Mike says you guys are missing a good charcuterie board.
Oh, good call.
Yeah, that's fair. Marcus says, does nachos count as an appetizer? Does Dolly Parton sleep on her back? I don't know. I've seen too many people order nachos as the meal, so
You can order nachos as a meal, but I think they're intended to be a shared plate.
we need a menu here with like starters listed for us.
Generic restaurant menu, non-specific.
Yeah.
Either you gentlemen ever been to TGI Fridays?
That's when I first saw that they free poured alcohol in the United States. I'd never seen it before. And the bartender said to my buddy and I, "What'll you have?" And we said 2 Ryan Cokes. And then he free poured. And we're like, this guy's lost his marbles. He just poured more than a shot's worth of alcohol in our drink. And then we thought TGI Fridays was the place to be in New York.
Delta Valley Jeff says, how have none of you lowbrow Neanderthals not said steak tartare? I am a lowbrow Neanderthal, so
I don't really want to reply because I was called a lowbrow Neanderthal.
That's rare. That's rare
but
steak, though. You know, it's uncooked.
I do like steak tartare. It is good.
Have you ever seen the Mr. Bean where he accidentally orders steak tartare because it's the cheapest thing in the menu?
No.
Maybe.
Well, you know what, guys? I guess we all haven't lived, have we?
Cam Max says mozzarella sticks for the win, and we'll wrap it up with this. It's from Spruce Grove, Corey. Chris Osgood hates appetizers.
We've closed that on the right chapter.
That's all we need to know. We'll take a break. When we come back, we are going to be joined by Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet. Also, we will be joined as we head out to Cleveland. Talk the Browns by Scott Petrick. That's coming up at about 5:20, give or take. Coming up next, though, it is Spec. Right now, let's get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. You can visit at Booster Juice to try the new Cookies and Cream Booster Ball, the yummy little bundle of almond butter, maple syrup, coconut, and gluten-free cookies. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today only at Booster Juice.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the MLB. Reds and Pirates currently the only game in action. Now one tied 0-0 in at the top of the second. Finals from earlier saw the Yankees blank the Guardians 6-love. The Nationals over the Rockies 8-3. Cardinals over the Brewers 3-0. Cubs big over the Tigers 10-2. And the Athletics over the Rays 3-1. Winnipeg Jets and Pittsburgh Penguins are making a trade. Jets forward Rutger McGroarty is going to the Penguins in exchange for Braden Yeager, and the Hughes brothers have been named the EA NHL 25 cover athletes for the game. News out of the CFL as Adam Bighill has been added to the injury list, will not play Week 12 versus the Ticats. Week 12 gets going tonight with the Rough Riders and Argonauts kick off for that one in about 27 minutes time here at 5:30. WNBA action getting going as the Wings and Liberty currently tied 0-0 as they are 3 seconds into the first quarter. And cornerback AJ Terrell of the Atlanta Falcons has signed a 4-year, $81 million extension. In hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
The only thing as hot as the weather this summer is a night out at On the Rocks. Every weekend, enjoy live music and top DJs spinning your favorite tracks. The dance floor is the place to be. Celebrating a birthday or stagette? Let OTR take the work out of the planning for you. Book your party online at ontherocksedmonton.com. Join OTR every evening from 4 p.m. for a great atmosphere and good company. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Grab your Good Vibe Drive and head to On the Rocks, corner of Jasper Ave and 118th Street.
Rule number 62. Never miss a free pancake breakfast. It's unheard of and frankly a little upsetting. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep event. Take up to 50% off mattresses, up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals, and buy more, save more, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and up to 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplaces. You won't want to sleep with these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the words. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best oodle noodle dance. Your best time of day is oodle noodle time.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV. Anything that's exposed to the elements or has moving parts needs regular maintenance. And when you consider an RV, well, it falls into both categories. Lots of moving parts and sitting out all the time, which is why we hire the best RV technicians in Alberta to come work here at our new, bigger store in Leduc.
Noble has giant indoor service space that can hold the biggest RVs in the world.
That's right, Bob. The vast majority of our indoor space at No Bull is dedicated to service and repair. You spend the summer in the great outdoors, and we spend the winter doing scheduled maintenance, so you're ready to go next season.
Sounds like a year-round thing, Rick.
That's it exactly, Bob. Our techs are the most highly experienced men and women in the business. We're solving problems and creating solutions every day. Whatever your used RV needs, our service team has seen it before and knows exactly what to do.
And that's No Bull.
NobleRV.ca.
YouTube and Facebook streams. Give us a like if you're watching there. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Use promo code SUMMER. Get a $50 casino free play with a minimum $5 deposit. PlayAlberta.ca. We're coming to you live from the eWell studio here in West Edmonton Mall, where the real power place is. Shop at ewell.ca for all your electrical needs. Online 24/7, ewell.ca. Your partner in power. Still to come on this show, we are going to talk some Cleveland Browns football with beat reporter Scott Petrick. But right now, we will get to the Spec Report with Mark Spector of Rogers Sports. That brought to you by GS Construction. They specialize in underground infrastructure. They make your life more enjoyable with running water and indoor plumbing. They're the grinders of construction. gsconstruction.com. We're joined by Mark Spector. Spec, how you doing tonight?
Doing great. What's going on? I've been hearing about how unexplored the name of Medicine Hat is.
Well, the topic did come up, and we looked into it. Trevor Linden, the winner, I believe, of Canadian Idol Season 2, is from there. And then there's a lot of mystery about maybe a drummer from Nickelback and a few other people. But yeah, do you have any knowledge on Medicine Hat?
No, just lots of hockey people came through there. That's all I got.
Tigers have had a pretty good run.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Kelly Hrudey played there. Ken Holland spent a lot of time there. Lots of guys came through that team. Not many actually from Medicine Hat, however. But that's been a pretty solid hockey hotbed for, about 90 years or something.
Yeah, that was kind of the way the trend just went. People just started listing off their old favorite Medicine Hat Tigers. And that segment went a little bit off the rails. We talked a lot of different things there, but we're back on the sports wagon here, Spec. And someone said, finally, Spec is here to settle the kids down and talk sports. So let's talk about it. So the trade today in the NHL, the Pittsburgh Penguins acquiring, I'd say, disgruntled former Jet Rutger McGorty for Braden Yeager. So, all in all, not a bad hockey trade. But what do you think of a kid who hasn't even gotten the NHL yet, kind of forcing his hand to get out of a market?
Well, the CBA gives him that right. He's got to man up. He's got to look the Jets in the eye. And, Cheveldayoff kind of made it sound like he didn't say what his problem was. But we all know what his problem was. He doesn't want to play in Winnipeg. Doesn't want to live in Winnipeg. He wants to be in America, probably, which is, as an American, is his right. And he doesn't want to go to a little town, a little city in Canada where it's cold a lot. So I hear, I'm from Edmonton. I get it. But so for the kid, Rutger McGorty, all he's doing is using his rights within the CBA, and no one should ever be, it's like beating up on Phil Broberg for taking an offer sheet. That's his right to take that offer sheet. So I would say to you though, like, American, after what we watched happen in Calgary with Kachuk and Goodrow, I question whether, if there's two players at the draft, one is American and one is not American. I wonder if I'm a Canadian team like Ottawa or Winnipeg or Edmonton or Calgary, who are you taking if you're the GM?
Sorry, Spec. I just got a text in here. Kind of threw me off a little bit. We earlier on in the show we were talking about just PTOs and everything with the Edmonton Oilers, and kind of got into the topic of course, Tyson Barrie and a few other ones along that line. Sammy Blais joined the Vancouver Canucks on a PTO this season. If I were to ask you about the Edmonton Oilers and PTOs, I won't say players specifically or even number, but what position would be the position that you think they need to improve upon immediately, and maybe look to do so through a PTO?
Well, they can't get any older at forward. So it's got to be a defenseman. They need a defenseman on this team. We know that. The question is whether they get one now or they get one at the deadline. They could use probably two, frankly, if they want to try to win a cup. So, for sure it's defense. The deal with guys on PTO, you got to remember, they're all older, right? Almost always they're old. And they don't need any more old forwards. They got enough of them. So they're going to be fine at forward. They can figure it out. After Holloway, they could try Podkolzin. You can find a guy. They need a defenseman. I expect at least for sure one guy coming in here in a PTO.
Perplexed Oilers fan texting in, why not go grab Giordano? You think he has anything left?
No.
Easy answer. Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one.
No.
Spec, in the world of sports, I know you're a Jays fan, a baseball guy. We saw yesterday that Joey Votto retiring from Major League Baseball, and there's a handful of people that thought maybe it would have been cool to see him lace him up for the Blue Jays once. That's not going to happen. Now, where do you fall on that decision for him to retire and only professionally play for the Cincinnati Reds?
Well, that's exactly it. It was him that decided. Like, I have a hard time thinking that the Blue Jays, that he wanted to play in that game and the Blue Jays wouldn't let him. So I think everyone wants someone else's career to end the way they want it to end. The way Joey Votto wanted his career to end was, he didn't want it to end in AAA, but he played a half a season in AAA or whatever it is, a little more than a half. He's been injured. He's not hitting. He's not performing. It's done. It's over. He didn't want to go to the big leagues for a token game and end it in a different uniform. So be at peace with that. Let the guy end his career the way he wants. People are blaming the Jays for this thing. I don't personally know. No one would. I don't know Joey Votto, but I know pro athletes, and not a lot of pro athletes doing, at the point of their career that Joey Votto's is at, want to end it with some token freebie at bat that they never earned for a team they've never played for. I've never seen that before. I don't think we're going to see it.
Declan had a really good question when it came to 5 questions earlier today, just on the topic of Joey Votto and Canadian baseball players. When it comes to the all-time greats, his name's going to be mentioned no matter what. But where would you have him?
Well, that's a good question. I think Karius and I were beating that up this morning a little bit. I think I would settle on probably Fergie Jenkins, Larry Walker, and Joey Votto. That's what I would say. And we can have some debates. I heard Steve Phillips on I think it was Overdrive today. He was making a case where Joey Votto's numbers are probably better than Larry Walker's. I'm not a seam head like that guy is. He was pumping out some numbers, some stats that were, you got to be deep into baseball to know what they are. But if Steve Phillips says he might have been better than Larry Walker, I'm listening, because that guy knows everything there is to know about baseball. But neither guy's Fergie Jenkins. I think it's 2-3 between Votto and Walker. What do you think?
Yeah, I didn't see Fergie Jenkins. Obviously, I know the resume and all that he had done. A Hall of Famer, I believe, retired number 2 for different franchises. Tough to compete with that. The best, I would say, I would have Larry Walker at 1. But if he's 1A, then I've got Joey Votto at 1B, because Votto was amazing, won an NL MVP. He was extremely great. Those would be my top 3. I know some people throw Freddie Freeman in there. I think he was born in the States, but had his mom.
He doesn't count.
He was Canadian.
Great player, killer player, yeah. But he's not a Canadian.
No. I'm trying to think, born and raised in Canada. That's who I want to have in this conversation. Justin Morneau would be another good one for me, but not in my top 3 for sure.
Russell Martin somewhere in the conversation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was good. Yeah, really good at some points of his career. I got to see him come home for a little bit. Jason Bay, I think with the Pirates, was another guy who was pretty good for a while. So, yeah, there's certainly a lot of them out there.
What about Tim Shippenoff? No, Dave Shippenoff. What about Dave Shippenoff? Old Edmontonian Edmonton Tiger that pitched for the Phillies. Come on.
I was going to say, you might have to enlighten me on that one a little bit here.
I think Dave Shippenoff, man. He's a local guy. Pitched for the Phillies.
Is he still in town?
The Cardinals, too. So
okay.
He's as good a local guy as we've had around here. Lenny Ney, he played like AA ball for the Expos.
I respect anyone that gets into the majors. Like, 30 rounds or whatever they have in their draft. It's a grueling grind to get in the majors. So even if it is brief, I got to give that a whole lot of respect. Yep. And finally, Spec, just want a little bit about the Edmonton Elks today. It still looks like Trey Ford won't be good to go here. You got the Montreal Alouettes on Sunday night. That's a 9-1 team with Cody Fajardo back at quarterback. What are we thinking here? Are you giving the Elks any sort of a chance to find a way to, I guess, shock the CFL world with this one?
Yeah, no, not really. But you know what? Here's the good news. At least they won 3 in a row. If they lose this one and then get back in the winning ways here, what do they go? They go Montreal and then they go into the Calgary series, right?
Yep, Labor Day Classic.
Right. So, you know what? They can take points from Calgary. Listen, it's no great heroic prediction to say a 9-1 team is going to beat a team that went 0-7 off the start of the year. Montreal should win this game. They're at home. They got the quarterback back. Trey Ford's not playing. Montreal has no business losing this football game, and I don't think they will. Let's hope the Elks, perform well and be able to walk out of that stadium thinking, hey, you know what? We were in this game. That's a 9-1 team. We played them up to the end or whatever. They didn't embarrass us. Really, that's what they're shooting for here. I mean, can they win? I guess you can always win, but I'd be darn surprised to see them win.
And of course, we have to ask you, the Mount Rushmore today, Spec, was appetizers. So when it comes to appetizers, you don't have to give us 4, but what are a couple of your favorites?
Well, the Latvian appetizer of choice at Christmas is something called a pirog, and it is definitely it's this little kind of breaded bun. It kind of looks like a pierogi, but it's made with bread, and then the inside there's bacon and onions and some spice. It's ruined many a supper, that appetizer, for sure. So I'll start with that. I kind of like I love that. What are those cactus chips at Boston Pizza? I can eat those all day long, boy.
Good dip with those for sure.
Yeah, Vivo's out in the West End does a broccoli that's not broccoli. What are those little cabbages called again?
Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts that's all blackened in a frying pan. Oh my God, they're good. Unbelievable out at Vivo's. So that's a good one.
I've never heard them described as little cabbages before, Spec, but that's never going to leave my brain.
See, I only hear from you in these interviews, Wanye, when something weird comes up. You're like our weird specialist.
Darn right.
The little cabbages, man. That's what they are.
I like it. Did you have a 4th one or?
No, I'm calling it quits at 3. I'm getting full already.
Oh, a good list there, right there. Spec, thanks so much for doing this. We'll wrap it up the week tomorrow and have a good evening. Enjoy the CFL or baseball, whatever you're going to tune into tonight.
All right, boys. Have a great night.
See you, Spec.
Talk to you tomorrow. There you go. Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet. That is the Spec Report, brought to you by GS Construction. When we come back, we're going to talk some NFL football, a team that's in a competitive division and has a lot of interesting questions. We'll dive into it next here on the Jason Gregor Show. You're listening on Sports 1440 or watching on Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
The road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a new 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers. Or save $7,500 on all new 2024 XC60 Recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide how to move forward, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year. You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
A sale this big only happens once a year. The Fish and Holes annual wall-to-wall sale is on now. 20 to 50% off everything in the store. You heard right. 20 to 50% off everything. 4 days only. Stock up on rods, reels, tackle, sonars, trolling motors, apparel, and, well, everything. Sale ends Saturday. Shop early for best selection in store only. Southside and West End locations.
Diablo Boots has been open for business for 60 years, selling Canadian-made quality boots. Diablo has Canada West work, biker, and cowboy boots with fixable soles and heels. So why buy boots like Area, Justin, or Red Wing that are made in China? Get your money's worth with Diablo's Canada West tough, comfortable work boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. And does Diablo sell the best boots in town? You betcha.
Rule number 41, never challenge a goose in the Bow Valley. They run this town and they know it. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Wanna go and take a ride with me? We three women in the boat.
And Donovan Paulson, keeping you going on Sports 1440 in the Oilers Nation YouTube, Facebook, and X stream. If you're on Instagram, you can check us out at Sports 1440, 1-833-401-1440. That is our text line. Right now, we're going to talk a little bit about the Cleveland Browns with Scott Patrick. Covers the team with the Chronicle Telegram and Medina Gazette. You can also find all of his work at brownzone.com. Scott, thanks so much for doing this tonight. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing really good, thank you. Appreciate you coming on the show to join us. The Cleveland Browns are going to wrap up their preseason in Seattle on Saturday night. Just want to ask you, positionally wise, is there any battles we're still watching out for? You know, maybe might be a little bit deeper down on the depth chart, but any camp battles that could be settled in Seattle on Saturday?
That's a good question. I think we have a battle for maybe the 6th or 7th cornerback spot. The 7th round draft pick, Miles Harden, has really looked good, but he's competing with a couple of veterans who are established and have made their careers on special teams, and Justin Hardy Sr. and Tony Brown II. You know, the offensive line is a jumble right now because Jed Wills and Jack Conklin still aren't back from their knee surgery last year. So I think there's spots up for grabs there. But you know what? And maybe at linebacker, there's a spot or two. But this roster has pretty much been set from the time they showed up in camp. The only kind of big uncertainty is there's been so many injuries throughout camp that you don't know who's staying on PUP, who might have to start on IR, and that's made it tough for those of us trying to pick the final 53.
Makes it tough for sure. So just looking at this Cleveland Browns team, I think you got to give a lot of credit to what they were able to do last season, despite having the injuries at quarterback and a little bit of uncertainty. I know Joe Flacco came in and played quite well, but Kevin Stefanski did a really good job with this group. Also going down your number one running back as well. Defensively, they're so strong. What are you expecting out of Deshaun Watson this season? And do you think he can return to that form we saw him when he's back with the Texans?
That's the $1 million question. It's the only thing. It's the big uncertainty to me. And if he plays really well, I think this team can compete with anybody. I think it can make a deep run into the playoffs. The defense is loaded again, and it was ranked number one in the league in a bunch of categories last year. So it's all about Watson, but I don't have that answer for you. I don't think he's going to play like the guy in Houston, the 3-time Pro Bowler. It's been 3 years now, the year he took off, and then the 2 years in Cleveland where he played only 6 games in each of those seasons. It's a long way removed from those days with the Texans when he was probably a top 5 quarterback. So I'm not comfortable saying he's going to get back to being that guy, but could he be a top 12 or 15 guy and win a bunch of games and give him a chance to win the North and give him a chance to get to the AFC Championship game? Yeah, I think he can do that because he's still a really good athlete. He's still got a good arm, but we just haven't seen it. And I would say that watching him in training camp for the last, almost a month, it's still inconsistent. There's good throws, there's bad throws. He's slow with the ball, making a decision sometimes. So I haven't seen enough to say, oh yeah, the light has gone on.
We're talking Cleveland Browns here on the Jason Gregor Show with Scott Petrick. Covers the Cleveland Browns. They've been doing so for a long time here. And, just looking at this depth chart, it's fun to look through because they are so talented, but the injuries going to be a concern. Do we have any update on Nick Chubb and when he might be ready to get going again?
You know what? We saw him in the Browns open training camp down at the Greenbrier in West Virginia. And it was one of the first days down there. And it was after practice. We're walking back from interviews, and all of a sudden Chubb's running full speed under the watch of the athletic trainer. And it's the first time we'd seen him run like that. And it's like, oh my gosh, maybe he's going to be ready within a week, right? Like he looked that good, but it's been a while. He hasn't practiced since. He still hasn't practiced, and they're just being really cautious. So I think there's positive signs, but I still think he opens the season on PUP, which means he's got to miss 4 games. So I think you're looking at sometime in October at the earliest. I think he's recovering well, but we have to remember it took 2 knee surgeries to repair all the damage. One of them was an ACL. That didn't happen until I think it was the end of November. So it's going to take a while for him to get back, even though he looks way better than I thought he would.
So in the backfield now, Jerome Ford, I assume would be the likely starter, but you've got Pierre Strong Jr., also Deontay Foreman and Nyheim Hines. Who do you expect maybe to be RB2 out of this camp here and get a few more opportunities to carry the football for Cleveland?
Well, you're right about Jerome Ford. He's going to be number 1, and I think he's going to get a ton of the carries. And actually, I just finished that story a little bit ago. It hasn't posted online yet because there's questions behind him. I mean, you have the Nick Chubb question, but Nyheim Hines has not practiced yet. He still hasn't practiced since he tore the ACL in the jet ski incident last July 4th weekend of 2023. I saw him run the other day. Looks pretty good, but still hasn't practiced. So they're not counting on him to start the season. And if they do, it'll probably be as a returner before it would be as a running back. Deontay Foreman is going to be the short yardage back, goal line back. Pierre Strong left practice. Today's Thursday, left practice Wednesday with a rib contusion. He was short of breath, so they took him to the hospital by ambulance, and then they released him. So I don't know if he'll be ready week 1. So I think, again, I get a ton of Jerome Ford, and then Deontay Foreman will be kind of the change of pace guy when Ford needs a break or when you only need to pick up a yard or 2 up the middle.
I think our fantasy listeners are taking note of that one right now. Scott Petrick joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in for Jason. Scott covers the Browns with the Chronicle Telegram and Medina Gazette, also brownzone.com. Jerry Jeudy's an interesting acquisition in the offseason, coming over from Denver. I saw a lot of him. It seems like he can do everything right except catch the ball in crucial moments. How has he looked in camp so far?
Well, it's interesting. He was their biggest offseason acquisition. And then they traded for him. He was under contract for, the 5th year, or I think they might have exercised that 5th-year rookie option right away. And then within weeks, they gave him an extension when they didn't need to. So they are all in with Jerry Jeudy. Then he hasn't practiced a ton. He hurt his knee in OTAs. Nothing major, but he didn't practice in minicamp. He didn't practice at the start of training camp. He's been in and out of the lineup a little bit. But when he has practiced, including for the last week, he's looked good. And, he's skinny, but he could get open. All the stories you hear about him being a route runner, it shows up. He runs those slants and guys can't cover him. He's been able to get deep on a number of different routes. So I think there's been some things there that are really encouraging. Then you pair him with Amari Cooper and Elijah Moore and Cedric Tillman and tight end David Njoku, and you have some pieces. But they need him to stay healthy, and they need him to be that number 2 because everybody else in that receiver room is a question mark after this year. Cooper's going to be a free agent. Moore's going to be a free agent. And Jeudy is the only guy, besides Cedric Tillman, who's a young guy and only in his 2nd year. But he's the guy that they're banking on for the future. They need him to be a legitimate number 2, which means he's got to stay healthy and means he's got to be better than he was with the Broncos.
The team was seemingly interested in Brandon Ayuk from the 49ers for a little while here. Would that mean that maybe if they were going to bring him in, they might move on from Amari Cooper after this season as he becomes a free agent? Or could there be a chance that he sticks around for a little while?
Well, if they get Ayuk, then Cooper would probably go to San Francisco as part of that trade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Browns would pay Cooper, 25 this year, $25 million, and then whatever they'd have to pay Ayuk. Now, I talked to a guy who said maybe he wouldn't be included in the trade, but it feels like he would be. But if you get Ayuk, then even if Cooper stayed this year, he would not stay beyond this year. And as it is now, he wanted an extension, and he skipped minicamp, and then he decided to show up for training camp, and the Browns guaranteed his $20 million contract at the start of training camp. He was worried about getting hurt and maybe getting cut because it wasn't guaranteed. So they gave him the guaranteed money, and then they added $5 million in incentives, but he still wanted the extension. So I think he's disappointed he didn't get the extension, but he's just turned 30. The Browns are careful about paying receivers that old big money over a lot of years. So I think it's a big question whether he would come back. Now, if he plays great this year, then the Browns probably try to re-sign him, but then he could become a free agent, go somewhere else too. So they had their chance to keep him, and they chose not to, and I think that means the door is wide open for him to leave after this year.
Talking Cleveland Browns here with Scott Petrick on the Jason Gregor Show, and in that division, I mean, maybe the Steelers aren't the most scary offensively, but when you look at the Bengals, you got Joe Burrow, Jamar, Higgins, and with the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson always going to be a threat. Derrick Henry comes over. Zay Flowers had a really good first year. You got Mark Andrews coming back, assuming he's okay from that car accident. It seems like he was, but when he gets back out there, obviously he's going to be a problem. As a defense, how do you think they can hold up? Because we've become pretty accustomed to this Browns defense being very strong.
Yeah, that's a great question. In the quarterbacks they played this year versus last year are really difficult, much harder. They caught some breaks last year with certain quarterbacks being injured or whatever it was. This year, obviously you don't know who's going to get hurt, but it's Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow twice, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson twice, Trevor Lawrence, Tua, and I'm missing guys. It's Jalen Hurts. They play a murderer's row of quarterbacks. So this defense is going to be tested. There's no question about it. And it wouldn't shock me if some of the numbers took a hit from last year. The Browns are number 1 in total yards. They were number 1 in passing yards. They were number 1 on third down, number 1 in giving up first downs. I could see those numbers suffer just because of the quality of the competition. Having said that, I think the defense could be better than it was last year. I love their corners. Now Denzel Ward has a concussion, and it's the 5th concussion he's had since 2018 when he got drafted. And he hasn't practiced in the last week. Assuming he comes back, it's him, Martin Emerson Jr., Greg Newsome II, Cam Mitchell. They have a bunch of corners. Myles Garrett. They have a deep defensive line, including a bunch of D tackles that maybe they can trade one for another piece when it gets to, next week, cut down day. So I really like this defense, and I think it can keep up with all those tough teams that they're going to play. But you know how this league works. It's unreasonable to think, okay, the Browns are going to hold everybody to 14 points. That's just not going to happen, which is why you need Deshaun Watson to be able to keep up with these elite quarterbacks.
Scott, just last question for you. Where do you think the Browns finish in this tough division?
Yeah, that's really hard. I mean, I think it's tough division in football. Second or third. I think they're clearly better than the Steelers, although, you know, the Steelers surprised me last year, and I like Justin Fields if he winds up getting a lot of playing time. Joe Burrow's really good. The Ravens are really good. So I'll play safe and say third. But I think all those top teams, I think first through third and maybe first through fourth is going to be a team who gets 10 wins and wins the division, and everybody else has 8 or 9. I think it's going to be that bunched.
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, in that division, 3 teams in the playoffs, it could possibly happen. 3 teams are all that good, I think, maybe with the exception of the Steelers, but Tomlin will still probably have them win 9 games, just what he's been able to do in his career. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Gets going in a couple of weeks here. Scott, thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Scott Petrick covers the Browns with the Chronicle Telegram and Medina Gazette. You can also check him out on X at Scott Petrick, Petrak, or brownzone.com. Wanye,
go on.
What's going to happen in Cleveland this year? What are you thinking?
Well, I was told by somebody who's a big Browns fan that they are quote unquote legit and quote unquote not garbage anymore. That's what he told me.
That's fair. That's a good assessment.
And my comeback was, aren't you guys trying to plan a new stadium? And he said, yes. And I said, didn't your old stadium host no playoff games whatsoever in its life? He said, yes.
The mistake on the lake.
The mistake on the lake. Isn't that great? What a town.
I'd like to go to Cleveland.
I think the Browns will be all right.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're gonna be pretty good if they can stay healthy. And if not, then you know what? Maybe we see Jameis Winston play. And that's a treat for everyone.
You never know, though, because Browns be browning.
That's
could
what they
all
say.
Turn left.
That is what they say. Yeah, let's take a break. When we come back, we can wrap this whole thing up and we'll hand things over to Turn Sports. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Also, Oilers Nation, YouTube, and Facebook, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep event. Take up to 50% off mattresses and up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals. And buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplace. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
If you've ever restored a classic car or seen one, you smile because you know what it took to get that beauty looking pristine. The same is true for men who restore their hair. Nothing but smiles for miles. Patients from all over Canada travel to see me, Dr. Vance Elliott, to have their hair loss treated and remedied. I've been helping people for 28 years. My practice is outfitted with the most innovative and latest hair transplant techniques and technology. And I do it myself. Contact us at drvanceelliott.com.
They say at any given moment, only 7% of people are looking for a car. And that 7% notices advertising for cars. Everyone else, 93%, doesn't even hear it. So this ad is just for the 93% who aren't going to really notice any car ads right now anyway. Hey, it's Scott here from Sherwood and St. Albert Dodge. And I hope you, yes, you, the person listening right now, I hope you have a great day. Anyway, that's it. I'm done.
Coming to you live from the EWELL studio in West Edmonton Mall. The show brought to you by playalberta.ca, where you can use code word SUMMER. You know, you deposit $5 and then bam, $50 at the casino. Free to you. Use your game sense, of course. And also tonight, lotto-wise, we got the Daily Grand, which is $1,000 a day for the 20 years. My goodness. You could buy so much soda water. Is that what you drink?
Is it? Of course.
That's what it's called, right?
Darn right. I'm a spokesman for the industry.
Soda water by
Delicious.
Wanye.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could buy a lot of that. Lotto, and then Lotto Max tomorrow, 70 mil.
It's how much a day?
Oh, the Daily Grand is $1,000 a day for
Daily
20
Grand-
years.
For 20. What would you rather? Would you rather it all up front? Or would you rather it spread out over 20 years? And you can't go too crazy on $1,000 a day.
I think in this case, I'm going all at once. I'd buy a house, I'd make some investments, and
What do you
I'd
do with the
buy
other-
Sports 1440.
Wow. And then turn it off.
And then call it Connor Sports 1440.
And then turn it off.
No, it's staying on all the time.
I'd go up the street and buy Bubba Gump shrimp and then keep it exactly the same for 300 years with my fortune.
Would you keep it for the $100,000 a day or one big jackpot?
Jackpot, so I can get my Bubba Gump on.
Declan?
Oh yeah, I'm taking the jackpot 100%.
Saw your finger on the thumb on the button there. I'm like,
Oh.
we got to get you in. We
No, I
got
was
to unleash
waiting.
the beast here.
Oh, come on. I was waiting and I'm spending it all. Like Charles Barkley said it best. I want to be broke with my last breath. I completely agree, Charles. I'm doing the exact same thing if I hit it big.
Most lottery winners, gentlemen, it does not improve their lives. You know why? Because they don't know how to ball. Get 2 Lambos. Let's ball.
I'm getting a different car every day of the week.
Getting a different car every day and writing off the old one because I can.
You know, I was actually looking at properties in Coeur d'Alene earlier today for lakeside waterfront properties in Coeur d'Alene for when I do hit it big.
Moving some money over from Switzerland? What are you doing?
Tide always tells me I'm going to be rich, so I figured I'd get ahead of the curve and look at the properties now.
And he does always talk about Coeur d'Alene.
Does he talk about Coeur d'Alene a lot?
He tells me it's beautiful.
Yeah, I would like to go. So I'll probably buy a house there one day. The one I liked was 3.9 million. That's obviously American. So I think that's probably going to be in my price range. The 6.5 wasn't the best. So I'm going to need something big baller here in Edmonton as well, obviously. So yeah, I think that's where I'm sitting right now.
You know, I always read this sponsor read at the end of the show. Rhoda exclusive. They've got holiday properties, Lamborghini, Ferrari, boats, and more. RhodaExclusive.com. If you want to go check it out, you can rent these. How cool would it be? Like, you know, I'm baller on a budget. I can't go out. Haven't won Lotto Max yet. Yet. I will one day. It'll be like $12, but I digress. Would be very cool to, for one day, use Rhoda and just rent a Ferrari. And then I'd probably get addicted to it. Like, oh, I need to win the lottery and buy one of these bad boys.
Or you don't need to win the lottery. You just need to grind harder.
I was going to say, there's other ways to get rich. Not everybody at the Lambo won the lotto.
Like, I think my path will probably be rapping if I had to guess. That's probably how I'll hit it big.
Well, the shrimp guy up the street invested in Apple. Remember? They made the movie about him.
Right. That was fiction.
He started with that restaurant. Ended up marrying
he did okay.
Robin Wright Penn. Unbelievable.
You know what I might do?
Marry Robin Wright Penn?
Buy the rights to old Travis Scott songs.
That was interesting.
Is that a business opportunity I could interest you in?
We were looking yesterday. We're in the home stretch here. We're not talking about sports. Army Daryl's livid. We were looking at rap song publishing rights available for sale yesterday. I carried my weight in my time at 1440. I helped you guys open your minds.
Mm-hmm. But now we're talking about other things.
Well, we're going back to sports soon. Soon the season's going to start. And all we're going to want to know is the most up-to-the-minute updates. We're just not there right now.
Who on this Oilers team are you most looking forward to seeing at camp? Because you said you would stream it all the time if you could.
For sure.
Who, like, take away the normals. Like, we're all going to, McDavid's back and fast still.
Sure.
Who intrigues you?
Savoy.
Yeah.
This could be the guy. We all know my love for Reed Schaefer was ill-placed and that he's moved on to greener pastures. I need somebody. I need an up-and-coming guy. It's not like I love Connor McDavid. He's my favorite player of all time. But that is not a risky pick. You need the up-and-coming guy. You need somebody else that you're cheering for who's stretching to make it into the league. And I feel like Savoy is that guy.
He's going to be really interesting. I mean, he's just 20 years old.
Yeah.
So I think people can, take a deep breath, sit back. 9th overall pick. I think we knew the Savoy family. Carter was very good. Went to Denver, was an Oilers draft pick. But yeah, Matthew, in only his second year in the dub, really burst onto the scene. 35 goals, 90 points. Second season, 38 goals, 95 points. And then played a little bit with, bouncing around, but spent time with Wenatchee before heading over to Moose Jaw, your crew. 23 games played, 47 points. He's 5'9", he's 180. That's going to be a concern. But he's always going to have that size. He's had to deal with that.
Exactly. Let the record show. What am I wearing on my sleeve? I'm wearing
Moose
a
Jaw Warriors
t-shirt. So
Furcus Circus.
You don't think I like hockey? I'm wearing a Moose Jaw Warriors Furcus Circus t-shirt. That's incorrect. But if you go through the esteemed gates of Moose Jaw, we know our hockey out there. And Savoy's legit. Yeah, he's small, but he plays effective, man.
I wonder, is he going to be one of those cases where for him to have success, and he's going to have to change his number at the pro game because he wore 93 with Buffalo. That's not going to work. 39 would be sick. Great number. Is this Jays game live? 4-0 Jays? I love when Declan puts the Jays on. Whenever he does that, the Jays have success. Anyways, back to my point. When you get Matthew Savoy into the lineup, does it have to be top 6?
No, and I don't necessarily know it's going to happen this year, but I'm really interested to watch him at camp. I'm interested to see how he plays. I'm interested to see how he fits in. I'm interested to see his slick mitts.
But I'm talking when he does get there, when he's NHL ready, is that going to be, let's just future? Is Jeff Skinner one and done?
It's going to be interesting how much Jeff Skinner likes the playoffs. You think he's going to love it. If he saw a cup run like last year, I could see him sticking around. And at $3 million, that's good value.
Jay's bats are absolutely crushing it. We just got a triple. Oh, yeah. Well, and that's it. If let's say Skinner loves it, holy cow, the Oilers want to run. Maybe they win the cup. Let's run it back. Maybe for a couple of years. That gives Savoy a few years to develop in junior or in minors, and then maybe comes up and you throw him on that line with Draisaitl and whomsoever it might be. Ooh. If it's a couple of years away, maybe Arvidsson's gone, right?
Yep.
And maybe you're looking at somebody else. But in terms of the younger players like Raphael Lavoie, I don't know if he's a top 6 player in the NHL. Great finish, but don't know if he's a top 6 player in the NHL. You're going to need someone to ride shotgun with Leon because I think for as long as possible, you're going to see McDavid, Hopkins, and Hyman stuck together. Unless there's another reason not to do that and you're switching things up. But yeah, I'm curious about him when it comes to training camps. Jeff Skinner, obviously going to be someone to see what the long-term future is for him. Arvidsson's on a 2-year deal.
You look at a guy like Hyman, who'd come here from Toronto, famously the worst contract in hockey. Thank you, editor and Leaf on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Never had a hat trick. And like the extent that this changed his life coming to Edmonton. I feel like Skinner could be a similar guy, man. Like he's played so well. They gave him that big contract to stick around in Buffalo through lean years. Like, what if he just has unlimited playoff energy and he just becomes an unbelievable gun? I could see it.
Yeah. And I mean, you talk Zach Hyman, like the trend he went on. 22 goals his final year at Michigan. He jumps to the NHL. Doesn't get to that 22 goal marker with Toronto, but looks like he's got to play. He knows what he's doing out there.
Sure.
Okay, comes to Edmonton, 27, 36, 54. I mean, he's on pace to do like 65 this year. I think it's going to drop down, but that doesn't really matter. Jeff Skinner, wherever he's gone, like, playing hockey, he's been a goal scorer.
Yep.
Zach Hyman has had to work for his goals and grind it out. Jeff Skinner, 31, 20. We've had 33, 28, 37, 40, 33, 35 just 2 seasons ago, then 24 this past year. And doing so on like tough Buffalo teams.
Tough.
Like he's a guy who knows how to put the puck in the net. He's never had a Leon Draisaitl audition him.
Did he play a lot with Tage Thompson at the end?
Maybe 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I have to go back and take a look for sure.
Who are you wanting to play with in Buffalo if you're Skinner? And he's still putting up good numbers.
So this year in 74 games, Jeff Skinner had 46 points. Alex Tuck led the way with Rasmus Dahlin. Now, Rasmus Dahlin, stud. They both had 59 points. Tage Thompson, a little injury bug, but he had 29 goals, 56 points. He's a heck of a player. Yeah, he's really good. And then you had Peterka at 50 points. Dylan Cousins, Casey Middlestat, Jeff Skinner.
If there was an imaginary way to get players around the salary cap, around trades, and onto the Oilers roster, if that existed, I'd be looking for Kachucks or I'd be looking for Tage Thompson because that guy's a absolute monster.
You and I think, have that in common, that we like Kachuk.
Yes. I hate them. I went to a game dressed as a turtle, but I respect the fact, like, I don't know, they're just, Kachuk obviously winning the cup against the Oilers is the worst crime he can commit, but they're good players, man.
Effective. Like I love the extracurricular activities that they do out there as well. I love that sort of thing.
I love that they support each other, even though like that they do the ad together and then Brady goes and watches the other one play. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's wholesome. The Hughes brothers would never.
No, they'll be playing in the playoffs.
Well, there's that.
But yeah, the commercial is good. Marketable kids. Maybe they should have been on the cover of NHL 2025 or whatever we're at now.
And if you think about Keith being as good as he was, and then they're arguably better than him, what are their kids going to be like? Good gravy.
It's going to be a dynasty.
Keith will be at the games, all old.
They'll be there, also old.
Also old.
All the other brothers and sisters will be there watching them.
Hundreds of millions of dollars made between them.
So we talked about it. Well, Declan's been mentioning it in the update. The Hughes brothers on the cover of NHL. Do you still game at all?
No.
Have you ever played in the NHL franchise?
Are you ready for this? NHL 94.
That was the last one.
Yes. But I was really good, and I played it probably until 2004. It was on the computer. You could make trades.
When Wanye Jr. gets into video games, will you buy a system and play some NHL again?
I'm going to have to, because I'm what we call in the industry an old dad. So I'm going to have to get him involved in non-physically taxing things and then celebrate his interests.
Geriatric.
Exactly.
You know what, though? That's fun. That is fun. And he's going to destroy you.
Yeah.
In like 3 years.
Perfect.
At video games.
Good.
Really humble him. But then you'll bust out the Nintendo 64 or whatever, Super Nintendo, and play NHL 94.
Game over.
That's how you do it. Man, the Toronto Blue Jays, they're just, Dalton Varsho just hit a double. His 19th of the season. It's 5-0. Why can't the opponents always be the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles?
What
Southern
a name.
California.
It rolls off the tongue.
What a tire fire. I mean, I supported some bad teams, but the Angels, my goodness, they just get bad luck going along with it too. That's going to do it for us here on the show, Wanye. One more to go.
One more, boys.
The final show tomorrow before Jason Gregor makes his triumphant return. It's going to be a good one. We'll talk some NFL. We'll talk some college football.
Big time.
Some hockey.
Oh, yeah.
And a whole lot more.
Let's go.
That's tomorrow at 2 o'clock on the Jason Gregor Show. Until then, you got Turn Sports running from 6 to 9, Fox Sports Radio overnight, and then carry us back 7 a.m. for the Fantasy Frenzy program at 11 a.m. and then Low Tide from noon to 2. Then we're back. Big thank you to everyone who tuned in. Appreciate it. As always, check the podcast if you missed anything. Also, big thank you to all of our guests for joining us, jasongregor.com. If you want to listen to those individually or just download it on Apple, Google, or Spotify. For, not Brandon Douglas, he's later on in the day. For Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson, and Wanye Gretz, I'm Connor Halley. Let's get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Rhoda Exclusive and exclusive membership with luxury assets and magnificent holiday properties, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, boats, and more. Travel, drive, and relax in style. Join now at RhodaExclusive.com. Limited openings. Here is Declan Kruger.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 updates, CFL action right now. The Saskatchewan Roughriders leading the Toronto Argonauts 3-0 in the first quarter. 7 minutes and 12 seconds left to go in the quarter. Toronto with the ball. MLB scores from earlier today was the Yankees over the Guardians 6-0. The Nats over the Rockies 8-3. The Cardinals over the Brewers 3-0. Cubs over the Tigers big 10-2. And the Athletics over the Rays 3-1. 4 games in action right now. Reds and Pirates tied 0-0 in the bottom of the 5th. Angels trailing the Toronto Blue Jays big 5-0 in the bottom of the 2nd. And the Astros and Orioles locked 0-0 at the end of the 3rd. The one other game in the bottom of the 3rd sees the Phillies and Braves tied 1-1. Winnipeg Jets are trading prospect Rutger McGorty to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for fellow top prospect Braden Yeager. And in the CFL, Adam Bighill has been placed on the injured list, will miss this week's game versus the Ticats. WNBA action at halftime. It is the New York Liberty leading the Dallas Wings 35-32. And one piece of NFL signing news in case you missed it. AJ Terrell has signed a 4-year, $81 million extension with the Atlanta Falcons. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Turn Sports up next. Fox Sports Radio at 9. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440.